registration tiers are opening for the Wilcox WOW. Whole registration opens June 10th. Next tier is women's divisions on June 20th. Ratings based on June 30th and July 7th. Regular registration is going to be July 14th. Welcome to the Hudson Valley Disc Golf Podcast. This week we got Alex Bob, Randy, Evan, Tim Goyette, Corey, Jaimen, and Jason. What's Alex Bob? Oh, Alex Bob Alex. Oh, I didn't see
Alex Bob Alex because Randy Bobandy. But
yeah, no, that's cool.
I like that.
Very original.
The whole thing occurred to me, it's just like as I was signing in, that I always have it as like Alex Potts, and I'm pretty sure you guys know who I am by now. So I figure I should change it occasionally.
I would only ask that if you change it, that's cool, but keep it for the entire episode, because back in the early days, for any reason, like if we had to restart or this, that, Ryan would always change the name, not realizing that I have to put these things in order and edit them after. So that just made it just extra pain in the ass. But
I will do my best to not have to refresh or, do anything to change things at any point. So hopefully it won't come up.
Yeah, if we hit stop, just don't come back as Banana Fan of Faux or anything like
there
that.
you go.
Then we'll be fine. I thought we'd start talking about the Summer Battle Royale. Evan, you had a match this week, right?
I did have my Summer Battle Royale match. It was Wednesday, June 4th, and I played against Aaron Holtby. I've known Aaron for a little bit through disc golf. I think I first met him playing up north. I know he's like a regular at Saratoga Dubs. He's also New York Team Challenge, plays for the Saratoga team. We agreed to play at Central Park on the white layout at 5:30. We were doing that to have an after-work match, but then I ended up taking the day off of work to go to Minekill and practice with Josh Lee. So I did get a little warmed up before we played our match, but ultimately it didn't help me in the long run. We both parred on holes 1 and 2, and then hole 3, Aaron had a nice shot, bounced off the tree just behind the basket and was parked. I kind of gave it a little ace run with my tempo, which went long. He got the birdie, and I did not. Hole 4, he threw a great turnover to the left side. I tried the right side hyzer, but it kicked right a little bit. I got up to C2, but didn't make the birdie putt. He did. Hole 5, he got a little further out in the fairway. Mine cut rolled left. Suddenly, he was up 3 points on me. On 6, we were both parked. Mine actually threw the V tree from this white tee, almost aced, kicked off the tree behind, and it was right under the basket. So those were easy birdies. We both parred 7. Hole 8, he kicked to the OB off the drive. That is the hole I sponsored at Central that I recently aced. I threw another Eclipse reactor and almost aced it again. It landed like 1.5 feet from the basket, so I got a point back there. Hole 9, I kicked to the right a little bit and couldn't get the upshot up close enough to make the putt, so he got another point there. Hole 10, he got another point, so he was up 4 on me. We both birdied 11 and 12. 13, we both had eagle putts with, a nice long hyzer shot to the right, but he made that putt. I did not, which was dormy. And then on hole 14, we didn't realize it until we had actually both thrown our drives. He threw his second shot, actually, and then we realized there were people picnicking out past the big trees on 14s by the pond, which is a great view for a picnic, I'm sure, but we kind of played around them, and he took that hole. So he beat me 6 and 4. It was a great match. Kind of sounds like a blowout, but it felt closer than that. But ultimately, Aaron moves on, and I get to wait and see who loses between Dennis and Eric Struna. That would be my next match.
All right. Anybody else play or schedule anything?
I need to get scheduled with Brian. We talked about it briefly at Minekill, but then didn't do anything to finalize.
B. Klein still playing mental games with me.
I had talked with Ryan Yaddle some more, but once we realized that technically we don't have to be done until, June 20-something, we didn't really rush it, so.
All right. Yeah, I got a message from Brandon. He says I'm playing Russ Quincy.
The Potter.
I don't know what that means.
You don't remember when I mentioned that he was a Potter and you made like a pothead joke?
Oh, okay.
It's weird that you don't remember that. LOL.
The due date is July 7th, so I remember the bad potting joke, but I just didn't remember who it was in reference to.
Ross is a super nice guy. You'll have a good time.
Yeah, so the pro bracket, other than Alex's match, who's that? Adam Shoemaker beat Travis Pashore. I really do not like this. What is he using here to make this bracket?
Not sure, but if you're talking about legibility, I find it difficult to read on my phone.
Yeah, you can't magnify it at all. It just gets magnifies the blurriness. Jimmy O beat Mike C. So Jimmy O is playing Mike Sangelli.
The Mike C there is Mike Cohen, and I know he gets
Oh, okay.
Brian Monahan in the losers bracket.
Oh, cool. I mean, not cool that he lost, but yeah, that's your Summer Battle Royale update. So this past weekend, we had the Mind Kill Disc Golf Championship, the amateur side, supported by Innova. Tournament director Kathleen Bemis, assistant tournament director Randy Bemis. How'd that go, Randy?
It went pretty good. It was wet in the morning. I don't know if I drew the short straw or the long straw, but basically the kids had soccer in the morning. So Kat went to the course and got everything set up. I brought the kids to soccer. All of us collectively got rained on no matter where we were. And then I headed to the course, a little bit before lunch. I was there for the last few holes the first round. I know Jason was there. I don't know if Jason, you want to talk about getting ready and getting rained on and the shenanigans that went on, I think, at the beginning of the round.
It definitely rained a lot. And when we were going to do the start of the round, we did the 2-minute warning. So I drove up to the office, the 2-minute warning. And then while we were waiting for the 2 minutes, a bolt of lightning, pretty big bolt, came down and we had a lightning delay. So the people that were up there all went in the park office. There was a bunch of people in there, a bunch of people in the pavilion under one, a bunch of people in the mid-level. But yeah, basically right off the bat, lightning delay. Kind of, I think, worked out for most of the players because the rain was pretty heavy. And by the time the round got delayed, it probably made for better conditions overall. But yeah, that's the most rain I've ever seen, or most flooding I've ever seen in Mind Kill. There was like an 8-foot wide stream going across the soccer field between holes 8 and 9. There was pretty bad flooding on a bunch of tees. Everybody was just sending me random videos of the hole they were on and the flooding. I haven't seen anything like that before. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
Where was Tournament Central?
Mid-level.
So by hole 18?
Yeah, same as Pro Side.
Okay.
And for Pro Side and Im Side, we usually have somebody drive up to the park office because the way the hill is there, if you're on hole like 7 and 8, there's no way you can hear the 2-minute warning or the start. So we'll have somebody go up there and then get on a cell phone and coordinate horn blows.
For what it's worth, in the pouring rain, we could hear nothing.
Yeah, it was pretty bad downpour. To the point where like I was soaking wet just running around. And my kids loved it. They were like all in it. And when Randy's kids showed up, they were all even more in it.
Yeah, the minute the kids got out of the car, it was time to jump in puddles, and they had the faces splattered in mud for the entirety of the day. They were absolutely coated, but they slept well on the drive home, so it was worth letting them get muddy and everything. Tourney Central was set up under the pavilion, and like everything was soaked. Like it was raining sideways enough to drench, all the papers we had, and the trophies luckily were wooden, but didn't get messed up from getting rained on a little bit. Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna say worse than Pro Side, even though I didn't actually play out in it. But yeah, we started the day with 68 players, and I might be off by one, but I think we had 11 drops. Yeah, 10 or 11 drops during the first round. Most notable was Willie dropped after slipping on a hill and landing on his Zuka cart handle and taking a pretty bad stabbing from that, and couldn't really participate for the rest of the day. Yeah, pretty rough conditions.
Pat, does that make you think of Fusilli Jerry?
It was a 1 in a million shot, Doc. A 1 in a million shot.
Yes.
That's kind of depressing. Is he okay?
He was okay. He came up and talked to me after the round, and as did a lot of people to tell me that they were not participating for the rest of the day.
I heard some people might have dropped out mid-round too. Is that a rumor?
Yeah, I think only one person was smart enough to drop out before leaving their house. I think the majority of people dropped out after like 5 or 6 holes. Maybe we had like 4 or 5 people drop after. So I guess the majority did drop at lunchtime, which I think was a little silly, but you do whatever you want, people who dropped.
I mean, obviously on a day like that, it would be silly not to. But if you didn't have a change of clothes, and then, so the rain stopped, but I'm going to be miserable that second round.
Yeah, if you forgot to bring dry underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing, like socks. Oh, I got new drawers and pants, but I forgot my socks. So there's, some leeway in there.
I took Corey's advice from the previous weekend about how shorts were the move and how he was looking for Alex's disc, and so therefore his pants weren't soaking wet. Shorts was a terrible idea. I had shorts and wool socks and boots, and the wool socks acted as complete sponges. So my waterproof boots held in every drop of water that soaked down my legs into my feet. It was like walking in 2 fish bowls. It was absolutely miserable.
Yeah, it's a user error, skill issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I had admit that. But I'm just saying, like, for the future, it was going to get wet anyway, but if I at least put like the waterproof rain pants over, that would have mitigated a little bit of the interior flooding that my feet experienced.
I think everybody's feet, like even mine, like my shoes were filled with water, but definitely, I mean, maybe boots. There's too much. There's too much volume it can fill. You probably felt like you had clogs on by the time you were.
Well, not to spoiler, but at one point when we had a minute, I stopped to take my boot off and turned it upside down, fully expecting like a cup of water to pour out, and nothing came out because it was all like soaked into the lining of the boot. They were so heavy. It was awful.
He was so disappointed when nothing came out.
All right, so I'll go over some results, and then we'll hear about some rounds. MA3, Mixed Amateur 3 Division, Rosso Toole won that by a stroke over Mark Affak. Sherry Purdy won the FA2 Women's Amateur 2 Division. In MA2, Mixed Amateur 2, Logan Akins won by a stroke over Joshua Lee. And one half of Camel Case Corey Brian Monahan tied for third with Ryan Lorenk. Is it Lorenk?
I'm pretty sure they told me it's Lawrence, but
Yeah.
I'm only like 88% sure.
Okay. It's not good enough for me. So Ryan
That's fair.
Lorenk.
That's fair.
Over in MA60, we had John Furman beat Mark Ungerman for the win there. Tim, what about MA40? How'd that go?
It went all right. As everyone alluded to with the lightning strikes and everything, we started on hole 15. The card was myself, Harry Brown, and Evan Parsley. We were sitting down there for, 10 minutes while it was raining, just, some putting, some throwing.
Helping Joe Karen look for his phone.
Correspondent Joe Karen lost his phone, so we walked around the field a little bit and helped him find that. And then the lightning bolt literally struck as we were walking to get ready to throw off on the tee. We started walking back up the hill to get to shelter wherever we could have found it. And as we're walking up the hill, discs come flying down hole 14's fairway. I think we saw like 3 or 4 go by. We turned the corner and we said to the guys, like, you got to go back. Did we establish that they were an MA3 card, Evan, or did we just assume that?
I knew at least one of the guys had met before and was MA3, so I assume they all were.
All right. So we walked up the hill, and that's where like the first rules question of the day came in. We were debating in there. They were like, oh, we get to pick those throws up, right? I wasn't sure. My gut said that probably not because they threw, but we messaged Jason and Randy and asked a question, and it was established that the notice went out beforehand, so those were considered practice shots during a delay, and those were fine. They could pick them up. I don't think they ever went down to pick them up because that hill was a disaster. Whoever put the wood chips down, though, lifesaver. Those wood chips that come down the hill on 14 from orange tee to the green tee, that alone, I think, saved probably like 5 or 6 necks that afternoon and that morning. That was clutch. The round started. It was still raining really hard. Hole 15's tee box was completely underwater. It's probably a good 3 or 4 inches on top of it. So we start. I decide, for whatever reason, to throw a forehand in the rain. Horrible decision. I get off to the right-hand side, and then I take out my range, which is usually my upshot disc, and which is another stupid decision in the rain because that streamlined plastic is just as slippery as it can be. And basically, the disc fell out of my hand. I probably went like 25 feet in front of me. Then I do a putt to get up to just a layup putt to get to the basket. And there is a stream running down from hole 14 all the way down through 15 to the point where it looks like almost like hole 16 at Heiser Creek, where the basket's in a stream.
It was like a 3 or 4 foot wide brown river of like mud water coming down 14. It was wild.
It was crazy. So I throw my upshot. Evan told me I landed under the basket and the stream just took it and washed it away. Luckily, at probably about 15 to 18 feet away, something caught it and it sank to the bottom of the stream. I put my foot in the stream and lost all waterproofing in that boot, but I made the putt for a bogey. And that's pretty much how the round started. It seemed like for the round one, if it was a hard hole at Minekill, I played it really well minus hole 4. I went double OB on 4 and then missed a 15-foot putt. But other than that, like hole 9, I had a 2-foot putt for a par. All the really long, hard holes, I played really well. I was throwing the disc really well, but I could not putt to save my life. I think in the first round, I missed like 6 putts within 15 feet. It was pretty miserable. I think besides that hole 4 tee shots and then hole 14 as our last hole, my tee shot there. Other than that, most of my tee shots were nice. They were good. I had good distance. I was throwing the disc really, really well, but could not putt to save my life. So I think I ended that round at plus 10 when I took a double bogey on the last hole because the disc slipped out of my hand on the tee. I wasn't committed to the tee shot and just tried to like loft the putter down there and it just fell out. And then I just kind of softed everything else after that. So, but other than that, I mean, it felt like a good round minus those putts. They were really frustrating. During lunch, had a lot to do to get changed, get dry. The weather turned 180 after that. It became very nice and sunny, probably right after lunch. Course dried up really well. And again, pretty much the same story for the second round for me. I think I was 2 back from the lead, and again, throwing the disc really, really well. We started the second round. This time it was Joe Caron, Evan Parsley, myself, and then Joe Pajonis, I think he said how to say his last name.
Correct.
Okay. We were standing there waiting, and I looked at the tee sign for hole 16, and I guess I just never realized that it was only 272 feet from the green tee. I thought it was way longer than that, and I just got up there, and I don't know if it was just a thought process, but I threw what it is to me the greatest throw I've had on that hole. I was all the way down to where that ravine kind of kicks back in, where to like probably edge of circle 2, somewhere in there, which I never get over the top of the hill. So that was an awesome throw. So I felt really good going in the round. And again, just I threw the disc really well. I made a few bad upshots here and there, but I mean, the tee shots were just really, really nice. And again, my putt just failed me. This time, I think I'm counted like I missed 7 putts within like 20 feet. And some of them coming down to the end were really impactful, because coming down to hole 12, I think I was 2 back going into hole 12, or maybe I was 1 back going into hole 12, and I had a 15-foot putt and I caged it. And also Joe made his putt there, so I think I was back 2. Hole 13, I had a 15, 20-foot putt somewhere in that range to gain a stroke on Joe, and I caged it. That would have been a huge one for me, because going into 14, I finally committed to the throw this round, and I hit the bottom of the cage with my proxy to take a birdie there. If I had been able to make either one of those 2 putts on 12 or 13, we would have gone in being tied going into the last hole. And unfortunately, none of it mattered. He had a 1-stroke lead going in the last hole, and I threw a terrible forehand off the tee and then ended up taking a bogey. So I ended up losing by 2 strokes. But overall, I was pretty happy. Like I said, I was throwing the disc really well. Probably one of the best tournaments I've had actually throwing the disc off a tee. Just pretty much anything within 20 feet became my kryptonite. So like I said, felt pretty good about the day, but didn't score very well.
What about your day, Evan?
Overall, great day. I got to play both rounds with my buddy Tim Goyette, and that's always pretty cool. I want to shout out to the players pack. Besides the Halo Star Beast that I got, there was sunscreen and then a little mini zipper pouch that contained nail clippers, an emery board, 2 safety pins, ibuprofen, an alcohol prep pad, 4 different adhesive bandages, a keyring mini Sharpie, and a tiny duck. So shout out and props to whoever put those together, because that's some pretty cool stuff.
Wait, there was a mini Sharpie in there and fingernail clippers?
Yeah, bro.
I thought that was just some run-of-the-mill, cheap first aid kit. No offense.
No.
But that sounds useful as hell to just leave in your disc golf bag.
It was a very thoughtful disc golf kit. Like, I have people who have played with me know I have a little bag. Some people call it like my dad preparedness bag, because it's nail clippers, ibuprofen, a pocket knife, Kleenex, hand sanitizer, chapstick, flashlight, poop bags. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know, Randy, who had a hand in those, but it was awesome.
Yep, that was all Kat's masterminding. I did put a bunch of them together, but she chose all the items for them and budgeted it out so everyone could get something to keep in their bag. You can replenish it, a decent little bag, so when you run out of band-aids or whatever, you can use it again. So yeah, very
thoughtful. Thank you, Mrs. Bemis. Tim kind of went over the beginning of the round. We couldn't hear any 2-minute warnings, but we knew 9:15 was the start. We did the fist bumps. That flash of lightning was so bright. The look on Tim's face was kind of a big, oh shit. According to my phone, it was 1.9 miles away. I didn't need to wait for somebody to tell me. I'm like, that's too close. That's not safe. We should go in. So there was like we didn't make it up to the mid-level pavilion. There was kind of a little shelter between there and like 14's tee. So there was a whole bunch of people hanging out in there until the rain ended, or until the delay ended, because the rain certainly did it. It was absolutely pouring. So my first round, I don't know. It's just something about the rain. I guess I was just trying not to like make big mistakes, and just kind of do the best I could and, not try and overthrow, not try and do too much.
Who didn't make a lot of big mistakes was Benji Farrell, won SPW Dubs League, shot a -6.
Nice. Good job.
Either Cali or they didn't put a second person in UDisc.
After the first 4 holes, I was only +1. I took a bogey on 16. Hole 1, I had a pretty good drive based on the practice rounds I played with Josh. Didn't think it was smart to try and clear the OB, especially with the wet hands and wet discs. So I tried to play it up the left side fairway with the bear and it didn't quite fade as much as I wanted. And it was right on the OB line, kind of questionable. Tim definitely thought I was out. Harry and I seemed to think I was in, but we kind of agreed that maybe we would play a provisional and take a picture and ask for a ruling on how the OB was defined with the stakes there. But it didn't matter because I got a double bogey either way.
In that case, do you even let the TD know, or you just mark the score?
The TD was spotting on 18, so when we got there, coming back in from the round, was kind of when we asked it. Because there was a similar situation on hole 4 with my tee shot where, Harry thought it was in, Tim thought it was out. I know they haven't changed the rule about players voting or whatever, but it's kind of different with stakes versus flags versus a line versus spray paint. One of the highlights of round 1, I got a birdie on hole 3 with my pyro through a really nice hyzer to the right. I did take a triple on 13. That hole was miserable for me. I was just really struggling my way up that hill. And then we finished on 14. And I had told Tim and Brian the night before that I was manifesting an ace for one of us. And I gave it a good shot with my reactor. A little high, a little right, went long between the trees, but saved the par. So I came in after round 1 at +8, which was a 901. Didn't feel like a 900 rated round, but I guess maybe that's what 900 rated golf feels like, not making a lot of mistakes and, playing smart. I was in first place at that point. I think I had Joe by 1 stroke and Tim by 2. So lunchtime, like I said, I had made the mistake of wearing shorts, so I was absolutely, completely saturated head to toe, and luckily brought a change of everything, changed, everything I had on. The weather, like he said, got much, much nicer. So for the people who, I don't blame anybody for quitting at lunch because, just not wanting to, if you didn't have backup stuff, maybe, I spent a good amount of time drying off all my discs, getting new towels and stuff. So round 2 was a 4-man card, like Tim said. I knew I was starting with the lead. I tried not to put pressure on myself that way. I think subconsciously it might have been there, especially having Joe and Tim on the card, knowing they were right behind me. Started that round, unfortunately, with 3 bogeys in a row. Hole 1, I threw my drive too short, tried to play up the left again, went straight into the OB, took a double. But I think, Tim, if I'm not wrong, we all took a double on that hole. Everybody went OB on their second shot.
Yeah, I was like 6 inches short of clearing, but yeah, everybody went OB.
Hole 2, I threw probably one of the best shots I had of the tournament with my Crave on a nice Annie. It was absolutely parked 2 feet to the left of the basket, so that was a great tap-in birdie. Almost got a birdie on 4 with a zone, like a blind throw-in with my zone. I hit the drive over the pond. Couldn't see the basket because I was a little left of the green basket. Threw a high spike hyzer, and the way the other 3 guys reacted, I guess it almost went in. Hole 6, I got a birdie, which was awesome. I threw a great hyzer to the right of that big tree. Threw an awesome anhyzer shot with my rhythm, made that putt. Unfortunately, on hole 8, I tried to take the left side gap, and I knew that my reactor clipped the tree, and I thought we'd be able to find it, and unfortunately, we could not. So it was a lost disc. I had to go back, re-tee, ended up taking a triple, just, a combination of frustration and losing a little focus. Went to the next tee, threw my drive 80 feet into the ground in front of me. It was like, all right, dude, let's pull it together here, figure out what's going on. Had a little distraction on hole 9 when Joe Karen saved a bullfrog's life from the mouth of a snake, which I would have stayed and watched the snake eat the frog, but, that was a little excitement. We got to hole 10. I said, all right, just try and get down there. Threw my invader, a nice little Annie, turned right, flexed back, hit the chain/cage. Bounced out though, so almost got the ace there. That would have been a nice turnaround. And then down the stretch, I just, I couldn't pull it together. Bogey 12, double on 13, bogey on 14, and then even with a par on 15, I was at that point, I finished 3 strokes back of Joe and 1 stroke back of Tim for 3rd place. So kind of disappointing to have started with the lead, letting it slip away there. Joe was making some absolutely killer C2 putts. Absolutely props to him. He had a good round. Unfortunately, I didn't get the memo that when the weather gets better, you're supposed to score better, because I was the only one in MA40 who scored worse than they did in the first round. So my +11 round 2 was an 841. So it averaged out to, an 871 over my rating, which is good. And I got a really, really cool 3rd place trophy. The tournament was awesome, incredibly well run. Despite the weather, I had a great time. My only regrets are not quite putting it together to hold on for the victory. But, signs of encouragement for me, I think, looking at the stats, I had more birdies than Joe and Tim combined, but I also had way too many double bogeys and worse. So I've got to work on those mistakes and plug those holes. But, I'll take it as an encouraging sign where I can.
All right. So like you guys said, Joe Karen won the MA40 by 2 strokes. Megan Bursell won FA1, Women's Amateur 1. MA1, Alex, you played, right?
I did, and I was really looking forward to it, to the point that apparently I decided I wanted to oversleep instead of actually get up on time. Yeah, my alarm goes off at 7 o'clock, which is when I wanted to leave to get there at 8:30. So I'm panicking and trying to get all my stuff together. A good chunk of the stuff was already together and in my car, so I wasn't like too stressed, but still, it throws off your whole schedule. Didn't have time to eat, probably not going to have time to warm up. But I get there on time, get checked in. It's raining, like everybody's been talking about. I got a pretty good card. Corey Cook, Brian Bickersmith, and who was our fourth?
Adam Gill.
Adam Gill,
Guy
of
that
course.
was responsible for all this shit weather.
Yep, we always shoot the messenger here. For those who don't know, Adam Gill is a meteorologist, so he was giving us updates as the day went on with the forecast and everything. Start off with a par. We started on hole 1, and then hole 4 comes along, and I continue my streak of playing poorly on that hole. For some reason, that bush that is just to the right of the green tee pad, the one that you just need to be either side of it and you'll have a pretty good chance of getting a par. That one's still just like a disc magnet for me. I just get stuck in that every time. I ended up taking a 7 on that hole, which is not where you want to be. Got a birdie on the next one, and then got a 6 on hole 6. Was able to clean things up a little bit. 9 and 10 got birdies, and then hole 11, I don't even know what to say on that one. It's not an easy hole, but the mistakes I was making weren't particularly complex mistakes. And that one kind of demoralized me for the rest of the round. Had some awkward shots on 13, but overall wound up with a plus 13, which is 914 rated, which is definitely under where I'd like to be, but way higher than I expected it to be after playing through. Ended up tied 12th, which was about halfway up the board, and really feeling like I had left a lot of strokes out there. Into lunchtime, I'm just trying to get warm, get everything dry that it can be dry, and continue through there. Ended up with a pretty solid card for the second round. Played pretty calm all through, but the big thing was I was able to get a birdie on hole 4, because that was our starting hole. That's the only thing I really remember about that round, is I got that birdie. A couple of stupid decisions as we went through, so we still ended up like plus 6 for the round, but felt a lot better about how I played.
You shot a 942 that round?
Yeah, 942, and like I said, still a couple of stupid mistakes out there, so a lot to clean up, but it felt a lot better about it.
Top 10.
Yeah, just snuck into top 10. Got the number 40 tag, coming away with 70 points, which, that's certainly more than 0.
Yeah. What are you at now about?
I think that put you over 1,000, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that one put me over 1,000. I'm like 1,060 something, but I think there's at least one league that hasn't processed yet that might get me another, 40 points or so.
And how many do you need?
2,000. Okay. So, we're, finishing up May, and, there's still some big tournaments out there that I will hopefully not need to do too well at, but, get some points at one way or another.
That's cool. So that's everybody who played, right?
Shit.
How'd you do, Corey? First of all, you got in?
I got in, I think, Tuesday during J-Dubs, or just when it started. Kat had sent me a message saying I got in, so I was pretty hyped. I was basically going into this event just like I was the pro event, knowing the weather's going to be shit and not having too high of expectations, although I had one goal, and that was to just not let Mucelli win it, which was kind of half the reason why I sent it to begin with. Like Alex was saying, playing on a car with him, Brian Bickersmith, and Adam Gill. When that flash came in, Evan mentioned how bright that flash was, but it legit, I felt like I was playing like Fallout 4 and the nuke just dropped or something like that.
Exactly.
Like everything was just a flash. It was crazy. Adam had his fancy lightning strike app up on his phone, and that was the only strike in all of New England, and like I think Evan said, it happened about 2 miles away. So at first you're thinking like, crap, this is gonna make the day long and blah blah blah, but really that saved us 40 minutes from having to play in downpours, because by the time we threw hole 1, the entire field was literally underneath water. My drive, I turned it over, it was pretty short, and it landed like in a puddle, but I couldn't even take a casual lie out of the puddle because the line of play was just all puddle, so it wouldn't have got me anything. So literally hole 1, I'm throwing my second shot from 4 inches of water and my shoes are completely submerged. Hole 2, just like pro weekend, I don't understand what is with me in this hole. I single bogeyed it round 1 and doubled it round 2. For some reason, that hole, the shortest hole and arguably one of the easiest ones on the course, I keep struggling on. The whole reason why I wanted to play the amp side was kind of to like have like a redemption at Mindkill, or just I feel like that since last year I played it, my skill has gone up. So I feel like I had better opportunities to score well. So then when the weather's garbage and I'm doing the same stuff, like laying up on hole 4 and 6, it feels kind of gross. But we get to hole 7 and I had this circle 2 jump putt. So I jump and literally as my foot hits the ground, it slides out from underneath me. I basically do like half a split on the ground, kind of get up and like, shake things off. I'm all right. I did the opposite of what Evan did this time, and I actually wore pants and like a somewhat rain jacket for this one since the rain was supposed to be so much worse, which in this scenario was nice because I didn't have, a completely muddy leg and the pants were a lot easier to wipe off.
What happened to your shot with the jump putt? I assume it went in?
Oh, it went in. Oh, yeah, that's all I cared about.
Corey was absolutely crushing it with long putts that day.
Somehow hit a few of them. I don't know. Bullfrogs, you got to try them out. They just excel. And the XT plastic is perfect scenario in those wet conditions. It got to a point, it was raining so much, I stopped drying off my putter because it was just wasting dry towels that I wanted to use.
Pointless, absolutely.
So if it was like an inside 25 or 30 foot putt, I was not drying off my putter. I was trying to keep one dry just in case I needed like a longer putt. But for the most part, I was putting with a wet putter. Birdied hole 9 somehow in that weather, which felt great. But then from there, I think I checked scores and I realized that really nobody was doing anything crazy. At this point, I was 2 over. I think like Tyler Gannon was around the same spot. And the back 9, I want to say I played it safe, but it was a struggle. I was just kind of scrambling while I'm putting, making some long putts to save my pars. So because I took, only a few bogeys and only got a couple birdies, I was able to have a somewhat clean round and finish at 3 over, which put me in the lead by 1 stroke over Troy Vasari, which PSA, if you know Troy, I've been instructed after knowing him for 6 years or whatever it is, that it's not Vasari, it's Vasari. So
that's good to know. I thought you mispronounced it just now. Vasari?
Vasari, yeah. We were literally on the tee pad of like hole 15. So I probably said his name multiple times already that day. And he's like, oh yeah, by the way, it's Vasari. And I'm like, since when? I've said your name hundreds of times at this point.
When you refer to him, you say his full name? That seems weird.
Man, I feel like I'm in a habit of saying people's last names when asking for scores.
Okay.
Like playing around. By now, I've played like with multiple Brians in the card or multiple Justin. So it's always like Vasari, Uccelli,
I get Mr. Goyette a lot from Corey.
Mr. Goyette.
That's usually my call name from him.
I would say that takes away the ambiguity, but now with all the Goyettes and Gayettes or whatever that are popping up around here, that might not be the right
Guyette. I forgot about that.
So for lunch, I decided usually my move is to get the calzone from that pizza place, and I didn't get it during pro weekend, so I got it during Amside, and then there's like a note. First of all, somebody hid my lunch on me. I think it was you, Jason, maybe put an empty box over mine, so I was kind of freaking out. Like, how is mine the only lunch that didn't come? And then I look at the note that's taped on it, and it's like, ooh, sorry, we didn't have any ricotta. Ricotta goes in a calzone, right? We didn't have any ricotta cheese, so we just made it like a stuffed crust pizza, and they gave me sauce to dip it in.
I was trying to keep it warm.
Just to be clear, that was something they did last week too. This was not a surprising thing. It's just you happen to be the last one back to get your food.
Wait, which part?
They put the hot food under a box.
Oh, I thought someone was playing games.
No, just trying to keep it warm for you.
All right, well, I appreciate you then, Jason.
Not everything's a joke, Corey. Jeez.
One other thing I did the same as pro weekend is because it was raining out so hard before the round started, I did not warm up at all. I didn't throw any shots. I didn't make any putts. I figured that there was just no point in doing it. The only thing I was going to do is I was going to get more wet before we actually started, and I was going to waste towels. So I feel like I'm kind of 2 for 2 on that. Yeah, so round 1 finished 3 over in the lead by 1 stroke. Shot 984. So going into round 2, it was myself, Troy Vasari, Justin Muccelli was 1 behind Troy, and then Justin Park was 2 strokes behind Justin. So 4 strokes basically separated the lead card. Once the weather broke, we all kind of had a par frame on hole 1, which felt pretty good. And then I took a double bogey on 2. So I'm already like, this round is already starting off not great. How am I going to be able to salvage it? Not a whole lot of birdies were being had. We get about halfway through the round, and Troy at this point was playing clean with 1 birdie. So he was 1 down. I was 3 over. Justin was even, and Justin Justin Park was kind of struggling. So I think Troy was leading, and I might have been one back behind him. I forget how the math works out, but it was a pretty tight battle for the top three. By the time we get to the back nine, I continued my kind of like good scrambles and long putts to, save strokes, getting 3 birdies in the back and 1 bogey felt pretty good. Justin, I believe going into like the last 3 or 4 holes, he was 2 back, but he birdied 16 and 17. So coming into hole 18, I have 1 stroke on him. We both get through that initial tree line, the one that he struggled with Amando on Turn Pro weekend, while Jason was spotting. And I think Justin threw a similar shot. It kind of turfed into the ground by the Mando and kind of tried to do something crazy. Actually, no, it did. It right in front of you. It like skipped over the bench right there, didn't it?
Yeah, it like hopped over
It ollied the bench.
It ollied the bench for sure.
And your reaction was like, oh, I can see how you brought this Mando into play now. So then from there it was basically match play. I think Justin threw his second shot first. I followed up. I think I tagged a brand. So now I was throwing the third shot before he did. I was kind of more up on the left side of that 18 fairway. So I took out like a destroyer and threw a forehand. So knowing that I couldn't really reach the OB parking lot, but by the time it hits the ground, it should skip right, and kind of put the pressure on Justin to birdie the hole. He was closer to the pit of despair, so he had a much like tighter angle to the basket, which I felt if he would have been able to get close for a birdie putt, it would have been a great shot. So basically comes down to I lay up a 30-foot putt to tap in a par, and Justin, at that point, he needed a birdie to force a playoff. Since he didn't birdie, he had this like 25, 30-foot comebacker, but he was still able to, not lose a couple extra rating points, and he hit that par comebacker as well. So I finished round 2, 1 over. Justin was even, and I took the win by 1 stroke.
Nice.
Got a sick, nasty trophy for it, too.
Shout out Nick Silvano.
Yeah, those things are hella tight.
Nice.
Thanks to everybody who helped. We had a couple volunteers, Austin Chong and Pete Fitzitzi. Mike Schwartz helped out. Thanks, Brett, for the logo, for the discs, and Jason, too. Thanks for coming out and helping.
And thanks there was multiple like boxes of candy and snacks and Powerades and waters. I know I had quite a few Starburst and Skittles, and if nothing else, they are simple little morale boosters in a shit weekend. Back to back.
Yeah, Kat really prioritizes the quality of life stuff for her tournaments.
Nice. We did do picks. I posted a poll on the Facebook. I'll just go based on lowest votes to the most votes. Ryan Yadow voted for Jaimen. Jaimen made the mistake. He picked 3 MA1s instead of 2 and then 2 others. But I figured MA1's playing a harder layout, so he's not doing himself any favors. We just counted it up as normal. For the regular picks, it was total score. And then the dark horse was you gain a point every point below the rating. You lose a point, or you subtract a point for every point they shoot above the rating. So Jaimen had Chandler Harvey, who had 141 points. Tim Goyette with 136, Matt Hickerson 154, and Adam Dorr, who did not finish, so he got 172, which gives him 586. His dark horse was Brandon Medina, who is an 869 rated player. He shot 914 and 867, so we were able to subtract 43 points from Jaimen's score, giving him 543. And if any of this math is wrong, that is because I literally was doing it as we began the night. So I was a little distracted, and my math might be wrong. I totally forgot about this, to be honest, until like 5 minutes before we started. Also with 1 vote, Evan Parsley, Will Byrne voted for you. Baggers voting for baggers, I guess we'll say.
Thanks, Will.
Evan picked Troy Vasari, who had 136 points, strokes. Ryan Lawrence or Lorenk had 125. Tyler the Cannon Gannon with 145. And Highland Mike Warner with 134 for a total of 540. He picked himself as his dark horse. He's 860 rated, shot a 901 and an 841. So was able to subtract 22 points from his total, giving him 518 and the lead. Next up with voting, it looks like we got Alex, who Brian Bickersmith and Joshua Van Lee voted for Alex. Alex picked Josh Lee, got him 121 points. Brian Bickersmith, 138. Harry Brown, 144, and Michael Lucci with 151 for 554 points. His dark horse was Austin Swartout, who is 912 rated. He shot 928 and 912, so that was easier math. We were able to take 16 points off of Alex's for 538, which at this point is second place, but Evan is still in the lead. Also with 2 votes was Tim, Peter Hodge, and Joe Panessa voted for him. Tim had Anthony Bohansky, who got him 141 points, Logan Akins, Don't Call Me Atkins, with 120, Justin Park, 140, and one half of Camel Case Corey Brian Monahan with 125 for 526 points total. Eric Brossenbrook was his dark horse, who's a 909 rated player. He shot 914 and 920, so he was able to take 16 points off of his total for 510 and the lead. Somebody will let me know if my numbers seem wonky. Okay.
So far, they're good, I think.
All right. Corey was the next. He had 5 votes. Zach McDonald himself, Sean Patrick, Adam Babbitt, and Blaine Irondies Mandriza. Corey had himself, who got him 130 points, Matt Strickrod with 129 points, Zach McDonald 143 points, and Dan Gibbons 133 points. His dark horse was Victor DeSalvi, who's an 803 player. He shot 822 and 804. So we were able to subtract 20 points from his score, giving him 515, which Tim's still in the lead with 510, but Corey moves into second place.
Very respectable.
Very much so. Randy's at 24%. He had 6 votes. Himself, Travis Bashore, Brandon Klein, Ivan Ivan Marmota, Shane DeLemature, and Terry Hudson. Apparently, everybody who DNF'd knew he was TD, so they were like, screw this guy, we're getting out of here. Willie Harrison, DNF, got him 157 points. Adam Gill, 144 points. Cody Canine, 100 DNF. Wait, why did?
Yeah, he also.
Oh, okay. Oh, Willie Harrison got 157 because he was in MA2.
Yes.
Cody Canine DNF'd and got 172 because he's in MA1. I saw the different number there. It freaked me out.
Yep, I also got confused.
Yeah. And Chad Michael Murray had 135 points for a total of 608 points. His dark horse was Justin Hickok, who is a 870 player. He shot 919 and 850. So we were still able to subtract 29 points, giving him a 579 total, which is, as of right now, DFL.
Hell yeah.
With the most picks, 32% of the vote, 8 votes. Jason Lasasso had Kyle Hirsch, Will Byrne, he voted twice, Mike Schwartz, Joe Karen, Jason Lasasso, Evan Parsley didn't even vote for himself, Sparky Spalding, and Joe Panessa, who also voted multiple times, which is fine by me. I'm all for multiple voting. This isn't official. Jason had Justin Michelli, who had 131 points, Joe Karen, 134, Alex Potts, 145, and Megan Mercier with 143 for a total of 553 points. His dark horse was Jess Lasasso. She's 853 rated, shot an 857 and an 832. So we added 17, and he ends up at 570. So congratulations, Tim.
Great picks.
I'd like to thank my sponsors and the 2 people that voted for me.
Normally, I go through and do my picks, but I just realized that I do that now, so I did not try to beat you guys. With the dark horse modifier, the way it works, that wouldn't be necessarily...
Way too much work.
Well, that's the other thing, yeah. So it ends up with Tim in first, Corey in second, Evan third. Yeah, well, those top 3. So congratulations, everybody. And congratulations to Jacob Driscoll, shot a -8 at Gunk's Monday Dubs. Anything else on Mindkill? All right, so that's the Mindkill Disc Golf Championship AM side. It's done for the year. Jason, how you feeling? No more Mindkill till next thing.
Yeah, focus on Greenville now.
What's the first thing you got to do there? What's top of your mind that you got to fix at Greenville?
We're still working on signs.
Okay.
So we got a prototype made up thanks to Eric at Worthy Signs. Looks awesome. I'm going to present that at the town board and get approval to do it.
Speaking of signs, I felt so guilty last week that Randy had been holding on to that extra sign from Central Park. And I'm like, oh, I feel so bad. He's had this sign forever. And I was helping Jason clean up, and he just got his sign for the whole sponsor at Central Park. So I didn't feel so bad anymore. So that was cool.
That reminds me, if anybody sponsored a whole Mindkill and they want their sign to keep, let me know.
I took mine. Hope that's cool.
Yeah, anybody, as long as you wait till AM side to take them, because we use them for both events. It's fine.
Yeah. I swear, Randy saw me and he didn't say anything.
I talked to Nick Warren at the Mindkill Pro side, and he did say that there was a metal sign for the podcast. So I think he said it was on a tee that you guys might not have played, though. So it made sense that none of you guys saw it. So we're late to the game, but the proposed rules. Has everybody taken a look on the proposed rules and have an opinion?
I've perused them, yes.
All right.
Yeah, Alex sent a really nice summary of them in our chat, and it's absolutely buried because that was like 2 weeks ago now.
Let's see if I can dig it up.
The one Evan referenced earlier, enforcement, thrower no longer votes on determinations, excessive time, provisional throw, new procedures and definitions, team play, how often does that come into play? Procedures for a group of fewer than 3 people, flex start events.
I didn't read the proposed rules, but I guess the one that jumped out at me when Alex gave the summary was the one about moving a log, because I feel like they're taking something that's very definitive and making it subjective. They're going from something that's loose and, I think that was worded, loose and detached, or debris. I get the intent. You don't want to be like moving giant trees, but I think they got to come up with a more definitive way to establish what's small and what's large. Otherwise, like, is a 4-inch log small or large? Is 8-inch? I don't know.
It says 803.01 moving obstacles, clarifying the definition of casual obstacle. This update clarifies that a casual obstacle, which can be moved by a player under certain circumstances without penalty, must not be embedded into the playing surface and is not a larger item such as a large branch or rock. It specifies that obstacles that require more than one person to move are not casual obstacles. This update also presents these requirements in a list format for easier reading and reference.
I think like the big thing in that is like the embedded in a playing surface part. Like, yeah, there's going to be a difference between what's a stick and what's a log, or what's a stone and what's a rock, and what can one person physically move, like a child compared to a bodybuilding adult is going to change wildly. But yeah, I agree with Jason that they're messing with something that probably didn't need to be messed with in the way that they're messing with it. Although I think at least that the player can easily and quickly move by themselves at least does some justice. But
yeah, unfortunately, the way they phrased it, they're saying that the item that you can move has to be easily and quickly moved by themselves. But then they also specify that they need to be small things. So like they're unconnected statements. If it was like any obstacle that you can easily and quickly move by themselves, and then have that as like an example of something that you could move, that's a different thing, because as long as you can quickly and easily move it, that's a lot more vague and better for the player as far as it comes to, what you can get out of your way. But, they're specifically saying that like you can't move large things, which is, it seems like it brings in a lot of vagaries, and everybody's going to define a large branch versus a small branch differently.
Yeah, like when they say small, is that diameter or length? Like, can I move a 20-foot branch that's no bigger than my finger, or can I move a fat log that's only 3 feet long?
Can you move it easily and quickly by yourself?
That's what I would say. Like, yeah, if someone's like, "Hey, can I move this?" I like, if you can, then sure. If you can't, then no. But at the same time, like, you wouldn't be able to. If you can't move it, you couldn't move it anyways.
It is part of your 30 seconds at that point, so you better be able to move it kind of fast.
My question is, not embedded in the playing surface. You have a thunderstorm around here, and there's going to be shit embedded in the playing surface. Whether it's a branch that fell and stuck into the ground, that's embedded in the playing surface. That's my only issue with it. But if you can move it easily.
A portion of a stick goes an inch into the ground, that's technically embedded, but 99% of the stick is not in the ground.
That's the only part. I mean, the other part, you can nitpick it, but if by the time you ask the question, if you could have gotten rid of it, then it's small enough. If you've actually got to ask the question, then it's probably too big, if you ask my opinion. Is this small and easily moved? You would have moved it already. But
I kind of feel the same way too when people ask if like, is my foot okay? When they're like behind a lie, it's like, you know the rules as good as I do, man. Is it okay or is it not? Like, can you move the stick or no?
With that one, sometimes people have a better angle at it than you. From me looking down at my feet, sometimes it looks like I'm parallel to where I need to be, but I might not be from your angle. So I can see that one.
Is it rude to say, I'll tell you after you throw?
Yeah,
yes.
Maybe.
Okay, I thought so.
All right, anything else on that? Moving obstacles? Jaimen, any thoughts?
No, you guys covered everything. I can kind of see where there could be some added ambiguity when it comes to snow. Like if you're playing on really hard snow, does ice count as the playing surface and embedded in that and blah, blah, blah. But it's not a real
But that's
question.
also why these are proposed. And, if enough people send feedback saying, hey, can you clarify this a little better or maybe leave it out altogether, then maybe they might, That's one of the things about it being proposed.
Yeah. No, in the PDGA, they'll fix it. They'll change it from small to really small.
Yeah.
Surely they'll know what really small means.
Yeah. Come on, guys. It's really small.
What are the thoughts on the 801.02 enforcement? Thrower no longer votes on determinations. Among the challenges we face in enforcement of the rules are players refusing to make a call because they claim they're given the benefit of the doubt, and players attempting to lobby their group for a favorable determination after a throw goes, for example, out of bounds. This change improves the situation by making it clear that there is no benefit of the doubt concept, but only tie goes to the runner. It further limits the ability of a player to lobby their group on their own behalf by excluding the thrower from the initial group vote. Finally, it makes it very clear that determinations are group votes and that voting is a required action under the rule.
I think I kind of like it. I want to see how it plays out, but I have seen scenarios where a player can kind of bully somebody else into agreeing with them. And I think if two people think you're out of bounds, then you're probably out of bounds.
It says, when the flight position or status of a disc is questionable, the determination is made by group vote. 1, all players, excluding the thrower, must participate in the first vote. The option with the most votes is the determination of the group. 2, if there is a tie after the first vote, the thrower then must vote in order to break the tie. And 3, abstaining from a group vote is a courtesy violation.
That might be the bigger thing. I feel like in my experience, there's been more people abstaining from making a call than making a call. So I kind of like, and people have to remember this because I'm sure a lot of people will still, well, it's a proposed rule, but that's always kind of annoying is people just abstaining from making a vote or saying, I didn't see it that well. Well, you should be watching all throws. So
it's kind of a cop out. Like you can't say that anymore. Oh, I didn't see it. Because then now you're responsible for voting.
And it says courtesy violation, not a courtesy warning. So it's another big point.
The text that's got the strike through that's the current rule? Is that safe to say? So it currently says when the group cannot reach a majority decision, the ruling is based on the interpretation most beneficial to the thrower. So
it says it gets rid of the benefit of the doubt going with tie goes to the runner.
Right. So I guess I was kind of thinking, would it change the thought of the minimum number of players on a card, because you could never would want to have 2 because then you're tied. But the way it says if there's a tie after the first vote, then the thrower votes. So, I guess it doesn't really affect that thought process.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of flips things where, if you've got 4 people and the thrower votes, you got 2 that say, bad thing, 2 that say good thing.
At that point, it'd be 3 people voting. So you...
Yeah, no, I'm just saying the old version was much more beneficial for the thrower because at that point they're saying, you've got 2 and 2, you can't reach majority, then its ruling is based on the interpretation that's most beneficial to the thrower. But in this situation, the thrower wouldn't count for that, so it'd be 2 bad thing, 1 good thing. So, yeah, a situation where it's 2 and 2 gets flipped now.
Right, that's what I was thinking, like Saturday at my kill when my disc is, right on the edge of OB, Tim thinks I'm out, but Harry thinks I'm in, and I also thought I was in.
Well, those 2 would vote. We'll assume it's going to be a 1-1 vote. Then you would take a second vote, and then you would include your opinion, and then you would have won. Right? I mean, that's how I read it.
Yeah. That's how the new version would work, yeah.
Later on in the second round, just to kind of button it up, Joe Karen had a disc that was right on the line, and we looked objectively, and I thought he was in, and we came to that conclusion. So it's...
Sounds like quid pro quo, if you ask me.
No, listen, I think that my reputation precedes me, hopefully. Very objective. I like the proposed change. I like the idea of voting without the thrower, and then if it's a tie, like it says, I don't think that would be a bad thing.
Any other comments on that, Jaimen?
Nope. I think that's fine. I like that they're making you vote.
Yeah, I think that's also a pretty big, significant thing because I've definitely been in a lot of situations where people are like, I don't really know, I don't want to make a call. So making somebody make a call in every situation is a good thing.
The procedure for groups of fewer than 3 has also an amendment, the proposal. 1.06, grouping and sectioning, procedures for a group of fewer than 3 people. In tournament player, a group of fewer than 3 players is not allowed unless accompanied by an official. Many times this occurs mid-round and an official is not available, meaning players must create new groups. There has never been an official way for players to handle this scenario. This update creates a set of procedures for players to follow when this occurs. It says groups should not be more than 5 players and should be limited to 4 players whenever possible. In team play, who cares? Groups may not consist of fewer than 3 players unless the tournament director has approved it and the group is accompanied by a dog barking.
Accompanied by a dog barking.
Yeah. Groups may not consist of fewer than 3 players unless the tournament director has approved it and the group is accompanied by a tournament official. The tournament official may throw the holes along with the players as long as the players consent. If a group has fewer than 3 players because one or more players was absent, they must contact the tournament director or a tournament official about how to proceed. Proceeding with play without contacting the tournament, there's really not a change, is there? I mean, they're adding a bunch of shit.
They kind of just laid out what I think most people did anyways when the situation occurred. There just wasn't like anything written in stone as far as the procedure.
Yeah.
And like that whole scenario was a lot easier before they forced you to do electronic scoring. So before you would just like, okay, now you combine paper scorecards or whatever.
Is it always a 2-stroke penalty if you don't form the correct group?
I don't think there was ever correct groups to be formed, and so you couldn't really get a penalty for it.
Gotcha. So
There was like tournament by tournament decisions. I think the most common one was if you get stuck where it's just 2 people, one person is supposed to try and catch up to the group in front and one goes to the back. But that always seemed really impractical for the person going to the group in front because they need to like play through a hole or you know, flag them down and then be like, hey, come back so I can play with you or something like that.
This also only works if the card behind you was not a threesome.
Well, that's what they were saying. If they've got 5, what it would end up being, if you end up with 2 joining a group of 4, you'd split into 2 threes.
So it seems just like one of those things that they never really had to address before, and now they feel they need to address it.
Yeah. I just thought it was really interesting that they specified that if you end up getting a tournament official to come with you for your group of 2, the tournament official can also play the holes.
That's probably the only way you could talk them into doing it.
Yeah, right?
Even if they're not playing?
Yeah.
If I was a tournament official and I was hanging out with Jason at the pavilion and he's like, hey, we got a group of 2, can you go play with them? I can actually play even if I'm not in a tournament. Is that what that means?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that means. You know, as long as the 2 people you're playing with are like good with it, then yeah, you're good to go.
It's just funny that they added that in there. Like,
Yeah.
why was that even added?
How else are you going to get them to go out and walk around? You know? I don't know. All right, so excessive time, more time allotted on the fairway, better defining when the clock starts. The 30-second rule is outdated, and an update to the amount of time needed to complete a throw is necessary. This change keeps throws from the teeing area, drop zones, and putting area, throws that can be rehearsed and predicted in practice, the same while allowing extra time for all other shots. This reflects the way the modern game is actually played. It also better defines when the clock begins running by introducing the concept of addressing your lie. According to D in this proposal, the allotted time begins after the previous player has thrown and the player is next in the throwing order, and the player has determined the location of their lie, and the player has addressed their lie, and the playing area remains clear. So, Randy, to your earlier point, doesn't that mean if you've got a couple branches, you can clear them, and then your allotted time begins?
No, in one of the lines, it straight up said addressing your lie includes. God, I'm doing a lot of scrolling.
No, I think
Includes
Marking.
clearing casual obstacles.
Right down at the next one, E, a player has addressed their lie at the point when they begin taking any action indicating that they are preparing to throw. Such actions include, but are not limited to, marking the lie with a mini marker, placing a supporting point on the lie, executing a pre-shot routine, using a rangefinder, checking the wind, clearing casual obstacles, testing the ground and footing. Don't they seem to contradict each other?
No, because the playing area remains clear is referring to like if a kid runs out on the green, your clock resets.
That makes a lot more sense than what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah, because the casual obstacles would be, they're not in the playing area. They're behind your lie, so they're technically part of the lie. But anything in front of your lie, like if a small child or a kid or something that's not giving you a clear throw, then your clock doesn't start till they're out of the way.
Okay, here's an interesting point. F, if the playing area is no longer clear after the player's allotted time has begun, the timer stops. Once the playing area is clear, the player's allotted time resets and begins running. So I'm standing there, I'm doing a couple practice throws, and then a deer runs by. It resets. Is that what it's saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I like how they kind of mentioned that it was not an exhaustive list as far as what is in addressing their lie, but I do like how they specified things like using a rangefinder or testing the ground, because there's definitely been people that, you tell them like, hey man, you're being kind of slow, and they're like, oh, my timer didn't start yet, I was just checking the distance, or I'm trying to figure out how to get to my lie, or something like that. And as you're well over the 30 seconds.
Yeah, definitely important to include those things, because addressing your lie is not just standing behind your disc. It's preparing to make your throw.
Yeah.
If you are on the other side of the fairway and you've been standing behind your shot and you've been looking at it the whole time as someone else has been warming up because they're on the other side of the fairway, I like how basically as soon as the other person's shot is thrown and lands, if you're standing over by your shot, like your timer is starting already. Like you've been addressing your life for the past 2 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a big difference in Section C, where Part 1, if you're making a throw from the teeing area, a drop zone, or within 20 meters of the target, you get 30 seconds. But from any other lie, you get 45.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. And I'm sure plenty of people have been in rough lies and have been struggling to even get to their spot or figure out how to throw it. And you're like, okay, yeah, they're in a shitty spot. I'm not, it's not unreasonable for them to take a little more than 30 seconds to figure this out.
Yeah, and I like the way they phrase it in the paragraph: throws that can be rehearsed and predicted in practice. So it's like, you know what to do. Yeah. You're on the tee box. You know what to do. Just do it.
Yeah, because the drop zone is basically a tee box and putting, essentially. So that makes sense. I'm still going to time Corey because he's slow as fuck. A player who engages in undue delay arriving at their lie or is present at their lie but refuses to address their lie has taken excessive time. There doesn't seem like a ton of controversial changes. It just seems like some of the wording could be better. Was there any other... team play we're not that interested in, right? Has anybody ever played team play? I don't think that means like team challenge it, right? That means like, what does that mean?
Collegiate disc golf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it count as doubles?
Yeah. There's a team play part that I read, and it took me about 5 tries to figure out what it actually meant, because it doesn't reference the entire section of the rule book, just like B05C6. It says if a team member is absent late or withdraws, the team withdraws. And I didn't realize it was only referencing to worst throw doubles, because if you don't have a partner, worst throw doubles just doesn't work. But I read it a few times and I was like, how on earth do you have to withdraw from a tournament if, like in the ice bowl, for instance, your friend slips and falls and can't play the rest of the round? But that's, it's best shot, so you're taking a penalty by being solo, whereas in worst shot, you're, gaining an advantage, I guess, by playing solo. So yeah, not a real change, just confusing me.
What was that section of the rule book again, Randy?
B05C6.
Oh, you sank my battleship.
Oh.
Provisional throw. Provisional save time and either settle a rule dispute or help determine a group decision, but they are occasionally misused or misunderstood. This new set of provisional rules addresses that. It makes it clearer that a provisional cannot be used for a missed mandatory or abandoned throw. The thrower must announce the reason for the provisional and which throw relates to which lie before throwing.
Basically, the big thing that I noticed, and I don't know what the original rule was for provisionals, but they're saying that they can only be taken if it's unclear about the rules and you're intending to appeal a ruling, or if the status of the disc is unknown and might be in an out of bounds or relief area, and a provisional will save time. So something like you are not sure if your disc is going to be lost or something like that, that's not something you can do a provisional for. So something on like hole 12 at Heiser Creek, for example, where if you throw it way off into the crap on the left, as I may have done several times, you would not be able to make a provisional throw there.
I don't think so. I think you still can.
It says it might be in an out of bounds or relief area, and a provisional throw will save time.
But you added an and. I think the first two, when the status of the disc is unknown, might be in and out of bounds or really. Oh, wait a second. Did they miss a comment or something here? A comma? This is a little confusing.
The way they've written it, I assume the and means all three things must be true.
They're all ors. Number 1 is an or, 2 is an or.
The way I'm reading it says status of the disc is unknown. That's one thing. Might be in an out of bounds or relief area. That's the second thing. And a provisional throw will save time. That's the third thing.
Yeah.
So what I'm reading there is it needs to be all three of those things.
I'm converted. I'm with you.
I think they worded that incorrectly.
If they want it to be disc is unknown or might be out of bounds or relief area, then they should have put an or in there.
Yeah, I'm with Alex. I think that the first two are conditions to be met. and the provisional will save time. So all three must be satisfied.
Okay, so what you're saying is if I'm throwing on a hole where there's no OB or relief area, there's very little opportunity for me to take a provisional.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Alex, I think you're right. You need that or after unknown.
Yeah, I agree with the grammar, that you're interpreting the grammar right. But if you read the entire rule, I think that the intent is that lost discs are still covered. But yeah, that they need to change the way it's written.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's not a ton of English majors at PDGA.
You'd think they would get one on retainer by now. I feel like how many times they got to re-clarify this bullshit?
Well, that's why these are proposed. We keep saying it; they're proposed, so we're giving them the benefit of the doubt. It says provisional throws are not available in the following situations, even if the requirements in the C that we read before are met. When a disc potentially misses a mandatory, when the player is considering abandoning the throw, when the only issue is whether or not a penalty throw applies.
I think that makes sense. I guess the question is, so something like if there's a hazard area and you're not sure if you're in the hazard area or not, the only thing that changes is whether or not you add a stroke. There's no reason to do two separate playouts of that hole when the only thing that changes is whether or not you have a penalty stroke.
So Dustin could not do a provisional.
That's a good question.
Or similarly, I'm not sure if I'm out of bounds here. Well, don't play a provisional. Just play it out, and then we'll find out if you were OB or not. But wouldn't that change where you would throw your next shot from?
They would be inches different, so they would actually be two separate shots. Because one, you would take relief in theory.
Oh, okay.
And one, you would play it where it lies.
Right, okay.
What if there's a required drop zone if you miss the mandatory? That feels like something that you should absolutely be able to do a provisional for.
Yeah, which I think you can, right?
No, it's specifically saying provisional throws are not available in the following situations when a disc potentially missed a mandatory.
No, I think the intent there is if you miss a mando, if it's clear you missed the mando.
Well, yeah, if you missed it, you missed. There's no need for a provisional, right?
If you're unclear about whether you missed it, then you're unclear about again, this is where like they need to change the grammar in that one, because I think every scenario where you'd actually use a provisional, it's more than just OB and hazard. But I agree, the way it's written with the grammar, it's basically the only time you can play provisionals with OB or hazard. That's not the intent of the rule at all.
I would certainly hope not. But yeah, this feels like very explicitly contrary to how you should use a
right when
provisional.
It says potentially missed. Like that doesn't say you missed the mando. It means you could have. You don't know. Seems very weird.
Pat, I think we should clip all of this and send it to the PDGA as feedback. Right, Here's your feedback. It's our whole conversation.
Well, at the end of this, I'm going to ask you who's actually going to send feedback. Don't answer yet, because I already know the answer. E says to begin a provisional sequence, the player must do all three of the following things in a manner understandable to all members of the group. 1. Declare that they are starting a provisional sequence. And 2. Explain why they are starting a provisional sequence and explain which sequence of throws will be used for which resolution. What do we think of that?
Pretty clear.
Yeah, pretty clear, pretty explicit. Makes sense for what it's supposed to be doing there.
I can hear a lot of people having fun with that. I am declaring a provisional because I do not think that disc is in bounds. Henceforth, to wit, I will throw another tee shot as a provisional or other goofy stuff like that. That was Jason. I was doing Jason's voice. Did it sound like him? No. Okay. I'm sorry.
Not quite.
It has always been kind of like well understood that you need to announce that this is a provision. Although it does seem a little dumb. Like obviously we all know you're throwing provisional to have to like state it verbally, but specifically mentioning that and also why you're throwing a provisional, because I think the new rule or this proposed clarification mentioning that, where was it? Either in the why you can or why you can't section. In the current rule set in the Q&A section, it actually says a provisional throw is used when a player disagrees with the group's ruling or when it might save time in case of a possible lost or OB disc. So in like the Q&A section of the current rules, it does explicitly mention a possible lost disc. Because I know we all kind of joke about, or we've joked about in the past, we're like, oh, you get to hold 12 at Heiser Creek and you throw a shot. And you're like, oh, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find that, even though it's in the fairway. So I'm going to call provisional just to like get a chance to throw a second shot, like hypothetically.
Yeah.
So this kind of addresses that too.
Yeah, the more I read the proposed rule, I don't like it at all.
It feels very awkward.
Yeah, because you guys are right. They're striking the entire rule previously, so it's not even like they're amending it. All the stuff about a lost disc is gone. So yeah, it doesn't even mention a lost disc in the new rule.
It does have a Q&A aspect. What is a good example of a provisional throw? You tee off on a hole and your disc lands in a marked area. From the hole notes, it is unclear to your group whether it is a hazard or relief area. You step up to your thrown disc and say, I'm throwing 2 sets of provisionals because we don't know if this is a hazard or relief area. This first set applies if this is a hazard, so this would be my 3rd throw in that case. After making the throw, you mark the lie outside the area under 806.04A and say, continuing with the provisionals, this second set applies if this is a relief area. This would be my 2nd throw in that case. You finish out both sets of throws and you note that your score is a 5 if the area is a hazard and a 4 if it's a relief area. After the round, your group confers with an official to determine the correct score.
They're missing a close.
I was going to say it, but I didn't want to be that guy. They didn't close the quotation.
Yeah, that's why I had problems reading some of it, because it was like, when did they end that?
I didn't blame you for losing the voice there. They didn't close it.
Yeah, that's kind of like the obvious one. I wish sometimes when these Q&As, they would use some like better situations, not the ones that like we all obviously understand. Well, I shouldn't say we all or obviously, but the Q&A should be more of a fringe case thing to address things that are a little unclear with the rules, not like the basic application.
Easiest one.
Well, we all know this is all written by AI, right?
Yeah, probably.
But also 2 sets of provisionals? That feels like it's just, your throws and then also a provisional.
It is, but they're both provisional, assuming that you don't know which one's right.
Yeah.
But it is a weird way to say it. You're right, but I was thinking the same thing at first. I was like, wait, 2 provisionals? I was like, oh, wait, no, they're both technically provisionals until you know which one's which.
They just didn't want to pay for Chat GPT. They're using the free version.
So I'm going to write an email right now about that.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm putting things on the list for sure.
Yeah, so the lost disk thing really needs to be clarified if they're completely removing provisionals for lost disk. And then also I think for like the Miss Mando, if there's it's unclear which line defines a Mando, you should be able to play a provisional. So I think the intent is they don't want you playing in an area you shouldn't be playing, which I get, but yeah, I don't know. I think it needs to work.
So 1.15 Flex Start events. Add a new section to the CM which carves out for some rules at Flex Starts. Flex Starts are more casual than a standard C tier and are often used as an introduction to organized competition. This revision aligns Flex Start events more closely with PDGA leagues, adds the ability to play through, and lets players enter the event more than once under certain circumstances. Flex Starts are only allowed at C tiers and leagues. The official rules of disc golf and the competition manual apply to Flex Starts with the following exceptions. When the tournament director, local law, and event venue rules permit, players who are of legal age to do so may use or display alcohol. However, players still may not drink to excess or be publicly intoxicated. Children under 13 who are accompanying a group may be supervised by an adult in the playing group. Children under 13 accompanying the playing group are subject to the provisions of 812 courtesy and 3.03, with any penalties incurred by that child applied to the supervising player. Groups may play through other groups. Groups wishing to play through must have a majority of the other group agree. Players are permitted to enter and compete in the same event more than once. Players choosing to do this must pay an entry fee for each round, cannot play the same division twice, and must choose the division they enter prior to the round beginning.
You can blackmail the shit out of your dad if you're playing a Flex Star with him as your supervisor, because he takes any penalties, any courtesy penalties that you incur.
But also, like the fact that it says like it could be a player in that group that's unrelated, but they just have to claim responsibility. So I guess that's kind of nice for young players as well. Like,
yeah,
I'm just saying you're on a 3-person card, right? And now that person is making calls could make calls against you that punishes them. So they have a conflict of interest immediately. Or in the other, if you're a crafty, 12-year-old it's under 13, you could whisper things during the round and like threaten them. A lot of power.
Randy, are you afraid of your children?
Soon.
What about playing more than one division? That means you'd have to like sign up at whatever the earliest time and then a later time, I assume, right?
I mean, yeah, some places you'll see, Flex Starts starting at 8 a.m. and last card goes out at 5. And, if they're letting people play through, then, get in 3, maybe even 4 rounds if you're really fast about it.
And leagues already allowed you to drink, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so just extending it to C tier or Flex Starts. All right.
Yeah, it's like hit MA1, MA40, MP40, MPO, all in the same day. That's certainly a decision to make.
I don't really see the whole playing through thing coming into play unless like you're playing a J Park Ironman flex start, playing all 36 holes. But
I did that one time. We did play through, I think, because they got an exemption and somebody was eating lunch.
I wonder if that's specifically why this got brought up. I wonder if that event, how much pull that specific event had towards, codifying something like this.
I'm sure there's other big events that do 54 hole flex start at 3 different courses, whatever.
Well, I don't think it's a coincidence that the playing through rule goes along with the being able to play multiple divisions rule too. Now people are going to be more motivated to go quicker if they want to get that second round in or potentially third round.
I think at a certain point, should flexes even be rated? Because there's so much weird.
There can be a lot of variability in the weather and everything. Yeah.
Picking your card.
They're aligning them with leagues. So at the same point, do you think leagues should be rated? Wouldn't that be the same?
No, it seems like there's more structure to leagues. Flexes, you pick your own card, you pick your time, you can play through cards, you can drink beer. I mean, really, it's just a casual round. That's just my opinion.
But you can drink at league.
I wasn't aware of that was allowed at league, to be honest. I mean, I don't drink, so I wouldn't necessarily. I guess I don't have a strong feeling about whether or not people do. I think the fact that it says, don't drink to excess, don't be publicly intoxicated, that seems kind of common sense. But I agree with Jason. It makes the things that people have already kind of said about flex starts, it seems like another tick of how serious is this?
Yeah, with a league, aside from the alcohol, the time is still structured. You're going to start at 5 o'clock. Your card is still, you don't get to pick your card mates, which I think is the biggest thing why flexes shouldn't be rated. Because if you're picking card mates with your friends, I think you're probably less likely to, or you're going to be more lenient when it goes to calls. But that's just the way it is. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like maybe flexes shouldn't be as rated, or maybe they're half rated or something. I don't know.
And not even maliciously. You know what I mean? You're just trying to be a buddy and you're like, oh, yeah. That's a crazy lie. Take a step out. Yeah. And then later in the round, you're like, I let you step out. Let me take a step out, and it just it's one of those things that can kind of.
Yeah, you may just not even realize it. It's a casual round because you're playing with your buddies and you may not even realize that you're not following all the rules. I'm not saying anybody's going to do it intentionally. I'm not saying it's collusion. It's just, I think if you're used to playing casually and then you go do that with your friends, it's not going to feel like a sanctioned tournament.
I don't disagree. Alex, you said there were a couple, unless anybody else had anything on these flexes. Alex said he had a couple other nitpicks, it sounded like.
Yeah, so the lost disc thing actually seems relatively big. The update is QA.LOS-3. Timer start for lost disc clock. Players are often confused as to when the 3-minute timer for a lost disc begins. This aims to clear that matter up. The answer to the, frequently asked question is, as soon as you arrive at the area where the disc is believed to be, and it's not obvious where your disc is, the timer starts. Either you or another player on your card should announce that it started, while other members of the group are required to assist in the search. Waiting for their presence and assistance does not delay the start of the timer. I certainly had the understanding that, everybody has to be searching in order for the timer to start.
I believe that was the case. This is new. It's all in green.
This is adding in a frequently asked question. The way it's phrased, it says they're clearing this matter up, as in this is how it's supposed to have been, even if people were playing it differently.
I get that completely, but it's also the PDGA. We already know they have an issue with the English language.
Yeah.
It may be that people's interpretation of the rule was wrong, but that I would blame that more on wording than I would on anything else.
This interpretation of the rule will slow things down, because now the correct play, instead of, going, off to the side and starting to search on your own while, somebody else does their throw or whatever, the correct play is to stick with your group for the entirety of the round and go everywhere as a 4-person group, because then everybody will be there when the timer starts and you're starting a search, as opposed to, going off on your own and, doing a little bit of a quick look while other people are doing other things. Maybe that's a little bit better for, making sure other people are paying attention to things like, I don't know, foot faults, or, making sure you're watching other discs in flight and things like that, just to make sure everybody's there. But yeah, it certainly seems like it's going to slow things down.
I don't like how they did this. I don't know why they would say that other members are required to look for your disc, but then say that, oh, this super penalizing 3-minute timer starts whether or not they have started looking for it or not. Because I play with plenty of people that are real slow to get out there and help you look for your disc.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems kind of contradictory, and to your point, you think like, okay, I'm not going to go look for my disc until it's my turn to throw, which is just going to slow things down. And I don't like that.
Yeah. Side note, but general PSA, disc golf tournaments work because players are watching each other's shots. Don't be the jerk with your head up your own butt.
Yeah, also important.
It's frustrating having to ask people to help you look for your disc. It sucks. It's like, it's something, you know what I mean? It's like, hey guys, I'm over here searching for my disc right now. That's like almost like a double penalty.
I think Mindkill is like the best example of this, where you threw from was not a blind shot, but where you threw into is 4 foot tall of grass, and you could be 6 inches from it and not see the disc. So the best thing is to have everybody out there kind of spread out and looking for it. And now when it's raining out, people don't want to get wet to help you look for your disc. This seems like bullshit. It's going to cause problems. Well, it could cause problems. I'm not saying it will, but
Yeah, and it doesn't scale with anything. So like using Mindkill as an example, having the same amount of time to look for a disc on hole 2 that you have on to look for a disc on hole 6 sucks.
Yeah. They had a quick thing talking about codifying what the different colors meant.
That's only for the Pro Tour.
It's only for the Pro Tour anyway, so we don't need to stress about that. And then match play. I think this was how most people like understood the PDGA rule to be, but if you can't win a hole in match play, you just stop playing. You can't finish out the hole. I think most people in Team Challenge would let you finish out the hole if you wanted to, but I think the official PDGA rule is you can't do it now.
You're saying I made my putt for my 3 and you're already laying 3. You don't get a practice putt. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm saying if I concede the hole to you and then you still want to make your putt, it's like, well, no, I conceded because I can't win the hole. Like, why do you get a free practice putt?
No, you conceded because you didn't want me taking a free practice putt. That's what you did, Buster.
Well, my reason is none of your business.
That's the way it's always been explained to me, is once you win a hole, you don't get that putt. That's how Team Challenge was always explained to me. You can't throw, otherwise that's a stroke.
It's good to have it written down, though, so that's good.
Yeah.
All right, so who here is going to send any constructive criticism to the PDGA? Hit your clicky hand thing. Alex?
Gotta find my clicky hand.
Oh, okay. So I got Alex, Evan, Jaimen, and Jason all plan on sending some constructive criticism to the PDGA for their proposed rules. Randy, Tim, and Corey are lazy bums like me.
I don't want to commit to anything, you know? I mean,
That's fair.
I was about to say, I am planning on it.
I'll be really honest, I was not planning on it until we had this discussion, and now I think that some of the stuff we talked about is valid enough that I think, one more email might do it.
Yeah. It says public comments close on June 20th, 2025. Anything else on the rules?
No, I'm glad we went over them.
Just for anybody listening, please use the rule book. You know what I mean? Like if you have a question, use the rule book. Don't use, I was playing with so-and-so and so-and-so told me this is the rule. No. When I was first started playing, people would actually carry those books in their pocket. Mind you, half the time they were probably outdated because of updates and proposals and all this other stuff. But now it's so easy. You've got your phone. You're already keeping score on your phone. Just check the rule. Mm-hmm. Even if it doesn't apply to this minute, why not just look it up and say, what if I had done this? Let me check what's the rule on that? What's it hurt to just be up on the rules?
Yeah, the rule book that's in the scoring app is a lot easier to navigate than the website, and it's searchable and very, you can find the lost disc rule. You can find all that stuff pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like disc golf, I don't know. For some reason, it feels like some people love playing disc golf, but don't want to spend the 2 minutes to more than 2 minutes, obviously, to know the rules. But imagine playing baseball and not giving a shit if the person didn't touch the base when they're running the bases, or it kind of started off foul but came back in first, so we'll call it fair. Take pride in the game you're playing.
Well, that can happen on a bunt, Corey, as long as it hasn't passed the base. It can go out and then back into fair.
This may not be shared by baseball people, but I have a very big issue with if you miss the base when you hit a home run and you skipped past second base and you didn't quite touch it, and then you they throw to it and you get out. That's the worst thing ever. I don't want that to ever happen.
Yeah, but do you think that's a fair rule?
I mean, I understand that it is a rule. I hate the rule. You hit a home run. Having to run around the bases just because you hit a home run feels ceremonial at best, and you shouldn't be able to do anything wrong while you're doing that.
Alex, if I'm playing match play with you and you park the hole and I barely got a 3 and you go to tap it in and you hit the rim or something and it falls on the ground, same premise.
That's still live though.
until you hit home plate, it's a live play.
The ball's out of play. You have to get a new ball in order to get me out in that situation.
I'm with Pat on this one as far as a home run.
I will admit that this may be that I understand that this is probably unpopular with baseball people.
It's not that it's unpopular. It's like the same premise. You're saying missing a base. It actually happens when like it's a walk-off home run and the players are mobbing you at the plate and maybe you missed the plate. You jumped over it or whatever. Somebody was in your way. That happens too.
It's ceremonial. Once the ball's out of play, that's runs are scored. I'm done. That's it for me.
Robin Ventura famously hit a home run in the playoffs, and the winning run scored as he rounded first base, and the players mobbed him. He never got to touch second. He got a single. It was a walk-off single instead of a home run in the record books.
Yeah, I absolutely understand that it is a current rule. I just don't like it.
And I'm pretty sure every year Robin Ventura sends each one of those players a box of poo to remind them that they robbed him of a playoff home run.
They messed up his playoff stats.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What a great moment, though. Thanks for bringing that up. That was awesome.
I get the point, but it's the same as giving somebody who's laying next to the basket, we'll give you that. It's the same thing.
That disc that is right next to the basket is still live.
You also haven't touched home plate yet, so you haven't scored a run.
Like, you have infinite time to do that.
You guys are circling the bases with this argument.
So to get off of this argument,
Did anybody else have anything on these rules? Because I already closed that page.
I think that was all of them.
That's all I had.
Jason, you got anything before you go? Anything coming up?
Jammers this weekend.
Yeah.
Who's going to Bro?
Yo.
Me.
I have Dana Leite's jacket. Do I need to get back to her? She's going to be there. And you guys pick it up at the Jammer and bring it to her?
Yeah.
Cool. Just try to remind me. All right. That's all I got.
All right. Well, thanks a lot.
All right. Later, guys.
Peace.
Later.
So you guys do a quiz?
Yep.
let's do
Sure.
it.
I'm
We didn't
down.
get one in last week, and
Yeah.
I'm actually compiling. I've got a bunch of rounds now, but I've only got an option for 3. A couple weeks ago, Ryan had said he likes the 2 teams. He said unsolicited advice. Feel free. Anybody who has an opinion or whatever on this, just let me know. Yeah, just doing 2 teams. Having a third team, I think that's a lot. And I think that's where we always get into the issue of somebody getting caught behind somebody not having a good night, and they just rack up points that way.
Yeah.
So if we keep it at 2, so 2 teams of 3. Corey, I know you've picked a lot, but you also won Mind Kill AMs. So who is your bagger partner? I mean, who's your partner? So actually, Jaimen,
What's up?
you and Corey are captains, but since Corey won Mind Kill AMs, I keep pointing out it was AMs, he does get first pick. So Corey, who you got?
Good, because I was, for some reason, Randy is just, I'm feeling this affinity towards Randy, so I'm definitely taking Randy.
All right. Jaimen, with the second pick in the trivia draft, who you got?
Gonna have to go with Evan.
All right.
Sorry, Evan.
And as usual here on the Hudson Valley Disc Golf Podcast, it is a snake draft. So who's your third pick?
Oh, Tim.
Damn it.
Team Jet.
Ooh.
I dig it. And in order, too. So that means it's Car versus Jet.
Jack Carr.
Sekar Ramrod.
I used to be good at trivia.
I felt like I was until I second guessed Jason and we were wrong.
Well, this is unofficial because I probably screwed some up. Well, who do we think's leading?
Evan.
Tim.
Evan's got 12 wins. Jaimen's got 8. Randy's got 8. Alex has 8. Tim has 7. Corey has 5. And Jason's only played once. Actually, Jacob and Chad have more wins than Jason. They each have 1.
I want to very quickly address Alex. You are good at trivia. It's just the 2 guys who would be picked last happen to be picking.
No, I've been struggling. I don't think I've won in like 4 or 5 trivias. Yeah, it's all whatever category comes up. Sometimes I'm good at them, sometimes I'm not.
That's what I always like about trivia. Any night could be anybody's night, you know? With that said, Corey, you got first pick, but it was a snake draft. So that means you guys do go first. We got 3 categories. Would you like category 1, category 2, or category 3? Team Car.
Alex, you pick.
1, 2, or 3?
Yep.
We're going to take a 3 in honor of the first birdie I got on 4 at Mindkill.
Okay, yeah.
You got a 3 on 4? Is that what you're saying?
I got a 3 on 4.
Okay, makes sense.
All
yes,
right.
yes.
Question 1, category 3. What is the largest living primate native to the forests of Central and Eastern Africa, known for its immense strength and largely herbivorous diet? What is the largest living primate native to the forests of Central and Eastern Africa, known for its immense strength and largely herbivorous diet?
Silverback?
I think we want to go
gorilla.
gorilla, and then if it needs to be silverback, they will be more specific.
Okay, I thought it was gorilla at first, and then the second read through, I switched to silverback. But okay, primate, gorilla.
The silverback is a type of gorilla. So
Yeah.
It's just a phase of a gorilla. It's not a type of gorilla.
Oh, is that how that works?
It's like
I
an old
genuinely
guy.
don't know.
Gorilla,
Oh.
gorilla, please.
Gorilla is what we're going with. Yeah.
You guys agree?
Mm-hmm.
Is the gorilla a disc?
Gotta be.
It has to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like 99% sure it is.
Good enough for me.
You guys agree?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, no.
Oh my god.
What? Who? How?
1%. Bro said he was 99% sure.
Well, you
Mhm.
guys were 100, so.
All right. Jet, category 1, category 2, or category 3?
Go ahead, Captain.
Let's go with category 3.
Again?
Oh no, shit! Category 2. I was like, nobody will choose in category 3 yet. They won't know. I haven't been paying attention yet.
All right. Question 1, category 2. To navigate under low ceilings or gain maximum distance on flat ground, a disc golfer might choose what shot? To navigate under low ceilings or to gain maximum distance on flat ground, a disc golfer might choose what shot?
Roller.
Makes sense.
Sure.
Especially both aspects of that.
You guys agree?
Agree.
Is the roller a disc?
I think it is. I think it's like one of the lightning discs, like a number 2 roller or whatever.
All right.
I'm with you.
You guys agree? The number 1 and the number 2 roller are lightning discs. April 7th, 1995, December 31st, 1996. The number 5 roller putter, Disc Golf Association, December 31st, 1991. And Tobu Discs on August 17th, 2015 has the power roller. So yes, there is.
So we just got like 5 points. That's awesome.
It's
A lot of rollers.
Mm-hmm. All right, car. Category 2 or Category 3? Category 1 will be used at a later date.
Let's try 3 again.
Let's do it.
Question 2, Category 3. Which great ape, whose name means person of the forest in Malay, is characterized by its reddish-brown fur and is native to the rainforests of Borneo and Sumatra? Which great ape, whose name means person of the forest in Malay, is characterized by its reddish-brown fur and is native to the rainforests of Borneo and Sumatra?
Macaque? Macaque?
Say it again.
No, that's not the answer.
I'm gonna let you go on this one.
No, you know the answer, so I'd like to hear
Yeah, it's an orangutan.
Okay.
it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Orange. Orangutan, please.
You guys agree?
Yeah.
Is the orangutan a disc?
No.
Dude, I'm so shook by gorilla not being one. Now I have no idea if any of these are going to be discs.
Like, I feel like I would 100% go with gorilla before orangutan.
Exactly.
And if there's no
I think-
gorilla, then I feel like we go no.
Agreed.
It's logical.
The disc golf companies are not logical, unfortunately.
So we're going no.
Correct.
I'm not happy about it.
No,
but
I
yeah.
hate it, but yeah, I agree with it.
I agree with no.
Worse name than gorilla. All right, we're going no.
You
Yep.
are correct.
Woo.
All right. Jet, Category 2 or 3?
Jamin,
I'm fine with either of them so far.
stick with 2.
Sounds good.
All right. Question 2, Category 2. What type of pastry consists of a filling, often fruit or savory, completely enclosed in a folded crust and then baked or fried? What type of pastry consists of a filling, often fruit or savory, completely enclosed in a folded crust and then baked or fried?
I have a thought.
Same. I was arguing over these last night.
Was it turnover?
Yeah.
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 You guys agree?
Yep.
Is the turnover a disc?
I want to go with the same line of thinking, but I don't know.
I think the same line of thinking makes sense. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I think anything related to that is good.
It seems more likely than not in my mind, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. A turnover is a more common shot than a roller. If they're going to name something, it would make sense to do that one too. I'm good with it.
You guys agree?
Yes.
Turnover driver, Whammo Inc., April 11th, 2007. So 2 rounds in, we're 4-3, Jet over Car. Car, what category? 2 or 3?
I kind of vote switching over to 2.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yep.
All right. Question 3, Category 2. What term can be used to describe a light movement of the wrist or a slang term to refer to a motion picture or film? What term can be used to describe a light movement of the wrist or as a slang term to refer to a motion picture or film?
Flick.
Yep, sounds like a flick to me.
You guys agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is the flick a disc?
It is, and it's
Discraft.
it's the Discraft disc that definitely says fuck and not
Yeah, you can just scrape it.
Just a little tiny scrape.
Pop quiz for the group. Has anybody seen the movie Election?
No.
Nope.
Okay,
yes.
look it up. Matthew Broderick, Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, I know that
Exactly what you just said is a major part of the movie. The girl's name is Flick, and it's hilarious.
Discraft, August 22nd, 2004.
Nice.
All right. Jet, 2 or 3?
Want to keep going with 2? Take those points.
I like it so far.
Yeah.
All right. Question 4, Category 2. A disc golf term named after early disc sports enthusiast H.R. Fling describes what specific angle of a disc release? A disc golf term named after early disc sports enthusiast H.R. Fling describes what specific angle of disc release?
Gonna guess Heiser.
That was my first thought.
This is why he would say HR instead of his first name.
I think you're right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Heiser, Pat.
Heiser.
It's actually H.R. Fling Heiser is his name.
Oh, wow.
Is the Heiser a disc?
Well, this is kind of funny because this comes up from whatever trivia from like 3 weeks ago when we were talking about it. And I said, do you think there's a Heiser disc?
That's silly. I would never do anything like that.
It feels like it'd be another lightning.
Yeah, I feel that too. I'm imagining all of the stamps. I remember like what the stamps look like, and they all just kind of have like their flight path on there. I feel like that is one of them.
I like it.
You guys agree?
Yeah, I want it to be one. So I'm going to go with yes.
Lightning discs, the number 2 Heiser was June 14th, 1995. The number 1 Heiser was not until July 6th of 1995. So they put out the 2 before the 1.
Yeah, they were doing like a top 40 countdown type thing.
All right. Car, category 2 or 3?
Stick with 2?
Yeah, I think
At least
so.
for one more, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Question 5, category 2. In informal language, what 4-letter word means to boast or show off, especially in a showy or ostentatious way? In informal language, what 4-letter word means to boast or show off, especially in a showy or ostentatious way?
It sounds like a flex to me.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, nice.
Flex.
You guys agree?
Yeah,
Is the flex a disc?
100%.
I was going to say I'm pretty sure yes, but I'm not. I don't have anything supporting that.
I'm scared right now. They're all yeses in this category, so
I mean, it makes sense that disc golf companies make discs named after disc golf things.
what about gorillas?
Right.
Gorillas are not relevant to this specific question.
I already wrote down that it's a disc. So.
All right, perfect.
You guys agree?
Yep.
I'm sorry, no.
See,
Now I gotta delete it. Damn it. Backspace.
All right, Jet, you're all tied up, but you got a question in the pocket. What category, 2 or 3?
Somebody else pick.
Do we want to do the 6th one on this one?
Yeah, do you want to take the 6th one?
I mean, we're 3 disc golfers. We should be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
But it is question 6. I don't know.
No, let's just take it.
You guys pick.
Let's take it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Let's not put our fate in primate.
So you going category 2?
Yes.
All right. Question 6, category 2. In an internal combustion engine, what device uses exhaust gases to spin a turbine, which then compresses air to increase engine power and efficiency? In an internal combustion engine, what device uses exhaust gases to spin a turbine, which then compresses air to increase engine power and efficiency?
Got it?
I'm pretty sure it's turbo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Damn it, I thought you guys were going to be freaking
yeah, that was
dorks
a
over this.
soft question.
I knew Corey was Drew.
What is the answer? A supercharger? Wrong.
All right. I played enough Gran Turismo 1 back in the day.
You should just be happy that Corey has to make up scenarios to laugh at us about.
Yeah.
You guys agree? Turbo?
Yep.
Is the turbo a disc?
I think it used to be the Quest Turbo. I'm trying to remember if it's PDGA approved.
Is that the one that looks like a gear that has like
Yes.
the teeth? To my limited knowledge and understanding, that is not approved. Maybe it used to be, but I don't think that is. So I would say no.
I thought it was.
Yeah, there's 2 of them.
I'm pretty positive it is because I feel like I saw a video recently with somebody using it, and I'm pretty sure it was. I feel like it is.
Dave Martin has it, and I think he's got both of them. There's one with like a swirl on the inside of it.
Yeah,
that does
spiral.
Yeah.
not make it PDJ approved, but I think there's one without that allows it to be.
My vote is no, but like I said, I don't know. I know that what I do know is Dave Martin, I think, has more discs than me. So I think there was one of those, and I think that they unapproved it, however you would say that. But if you guys think there's another one, that's fine.
I guess how did Pat word the question? Is it a disc? Or what has it been a disc? No. I do think that one of them still is, but I would not be too upset if we went with no either.
I'll go no. I'll tip the scale if that's how you feel, Jaimen, since we're not sure. And he seemed at least more than 50% sure. I'll go with Evan.
All right, that's fair. We got an extra question on that.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah. So, no. Sorry.
No.
You go no?
Yep.
You are correct.
Oh, nice, Evan. Way to
Nice
stick
job,
to it.
man.
Thanks.
Corey, is the supercharger a disc?
Is the Pro Charger a disc? Oh, the belt-driven turbocharger. But you
I
know
bet
that
there are
would be
pro
good.
chargers out there.
I will take category 3, Pat.
Oh, okay, good.
I would hope.
You guys are down 8-6, 2 rounds to go. Question 3, Category 3. Which New World monkey is famously named for its incredibly loud vocalization, often described as the loudest land animal, which can be heard for miles through the rainforest? Which New World monkey is famously named for its incredibly loud vocalizations, often described as the loudest land animal, which can be heard for miles through the rainforest?
Say it, Corey.
Macaque.
It's not. It's not it. Do you got a guess?
Nah, I'll know it once you say it, though.
Howler monkey.
You guys agree?
Yeah.
Is the howler a disc?
Good disc name.
It's a good disc name, especially if it had like holes in it, so it whistled. Then it probably wouldn't be approved. But like,
Yeah,
sick.
it would not be approved if it did that, but still.
If Nerf ever starts making PDGA discs, you know they're gonna have a howler.
Mhm.
I don't like it. I don't think it is.
Sidebar: if I got 72 discs that whistled when you threw them, do you think I could fill a tournament? That would be
Probably.
hilarious. Just hearing that
Just hearing that all
across
over
the course.
place.
Yeah,
And I know like Gator 3s will kind of whistle a little bit.
yeah. I had a Kia that did the same thing.
My vote is no.
Yeah. I'm thinking no for Howler.
I will abstain.
Perfect. You get a penalty violation.
Yep.
Exactly.
Violation.
So you're going no?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Gorilla Performance Discs, February 15th.
Oh,
Gorilla?
no.
There's a brand named Gorilla? Yeah, well, that's why there's no Gorilla, because there's a Gorilla Discs. Yeah, that makes sense.
We've been scammed.
All right, Jet. It's 8-7, but you're questioning the whole. Question 4, Category 3. In 1964, doctors at Ole Miss gave a man a heart transplant from what closely related species? In 1964, doctors at Ole Miss gave a man a heart transplant from what closely related species?
I think the closest is chimpanzee.
Yeah, that sounds good. I was going to originally say pig because I feel like that's what you hear all the time, but that's not closely related.
That crossed my mind too, but it doesn't. I mean, just with the category.
Yeah, I like chimpanzee better.
I like chimpanzee too.
You guys agree?
Yep.
Is the chimp a disc?
Do
With
we want
knowledge
it to
of
be a disc?
gorilla disc golf without having a gorilla?
They also don't have an orangutan.
That's kind of strange.
But he said specifically chimp,
Chimp
and
not
that's
chimpanzee.
kind of catchy. And it's
Yeah,
like
I think yes,
I
because
think
of that.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Gorilla Performance Discs, July 8th, 2024. Corey, Randy, and Alex Carr. Question 5, Category 3. What is the common name for a group of tailless primates that includes gorillas, chimpanzees, orangutans, and humans? What is the common name for a group of tailless primates that includes gorillas, chimpanzees, orangutans, and humans?
Is that just apes?
Oh, it's not bipedals? Or
You can have bipedal things that are not monkeys. Or not.
Like chickens.
Yeah.
Or a T-Rex.
You just take the feathers off and you got a man.
yeah, so apes. Ape.
You guys agree?
Yes.
yes.
I have another
It's
idea,
not
but I
sapien or something stupid, right? Just
no.
before we lock in ape.
No, sapiens that refers to thought and knowing things.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool. Ape.
Is the ape or apes a disc?
This one I
Innova.
love.
That
the
is right. It's Innova.
Innova makes the ape.
Okay.
Yeah.
Innova Champion Discs, February 18th, 2011. Final question for Jet. You're up 1 point, so if you get it wrong, they'll have a chance to tie and possibly win. In 1984, in the first surgery of its kind, baby Faye received a heart transplant from what mammal? In 1984, in the first surgery of its kind, baby Faye received a heart transplant from what mammal?
A chimpanzee.
Oh my
We got the
god.
double heart transplant questions.
You say a baby? Baby Faye?
I was 3 years old at the time, and surprisingly, I don't remember this. I mean, on the one hand, I don't want to list answers, but I feel like Randy knows them all.
I know all animals. Yes.
Yeah, that's the assumption under which I'm operating.
Let's think of other primates that haven't been named. What is Rafiki?
A baboon?
A
A
smart
baboon.
guy.
There's a primate that hasn't been named.
Sure, I don't know.
I'm trying to think of like small ones like lemurs. Are lemurs primates?
I think
Don't
so.
answer that.
Are they?
Oh, sorry. I don't know.
I'm just saying strike that from the record
Got
from
it.
Randy's head.
I'll tell you.
Let's go with Rafiki. Whatever. If he's a baboon, let's go with that. That's what I'm feeling for whatever reason.
Better than anything I got.
It's the only other type of monkey I can think of off the top of my head.
You got anything, Evan?
No, I'm fine with that.
Baboon.
Baboon.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Is the baboon a disc?
Oh, nice. Good going, Tim. That's a terrible disc name.
Rafiki was a mandrill, by the way.
Oh, he was? Oh,
Yeah.
Jaimen, you're the best at guessing the wrong things.
You can almost guarantee it.
Well, there we go.
And that proves my point that Randy does know all animals in the entire
He knows
world.
Yep.
So it's a lemur, tough guy.
A lemur is not an ape, but it is a primate. I think that's how it works. Like monkeys are primates.
Because it has a tail.
No, lions have tails.
No, but the previous question was, what's a primate without a tail? Like, no, that made it an ape. I don't know, whatever. Something about tails was an ape versus.
I don't like it as a disc name.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, me neither.
Going no?
Yeah.
You are
No to
correct.
yes.
All right. So Jet 12 to Car 9.
We only got
Congratulations,
screwed
Jet.
on the disc part, right? We did get all of our questions
Yeah.
right.
I think everybody got every question right. It was just a matter of,
Yeah, no steals.
It's called disc or no disc, Corey. It's not called just answer the trivia questions.
Yeah. We have potential.
Yeah. Registration tiers are opening for the Wilcox WOW. Whole registration opens June 10th. Next tier is women's divisions on 6/20, June 20th. Ratings based on June 30th and July 7th. Regular registration is going to be July 14th. Anybody here planning on playing?
Hell yeah.
It's on the list.
I'm thinking about it, man. These A tiers keep changing their shit up. It's kind of driving me crazy this year. This is the third A tier that has changed like a substantial aspect of itself this year, and it's annoying. This was originally supposed to be 2 days on Saturday, 1 day on Sunday, and they changed it to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 1 round each day, which is a significant change.
Yep. They're playing the lake holes too, which I've actually never played the lake holes, so I don't know how good they are, but
You're saying lake holes, but I gotta clarify. They're called the beach holes. It sounds weird when you call them the lake holes.
I might have read it as lake holes, which is why I called them that. I'm not really familiar with them.
Oh no, they are calling them the lake holes. What the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so gross. Who said
What
that?
a bunch of lake holes.
Biggest change, yeah.
Damn it. Take it back, Alex.
The Lakeside 9-hole course. Knowing that it's Friday through Sunday, there's very little chance that I will play it.
No offense to whoever's planning it, but no one lives near Wilcox. Like, that's not no one, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
gotta go 3 days, like I would be driving like an hour, 10 minutes, like each time.
I think there's the camping aspect.
That's fair, yeah.
And you can camp at Wilcox.
Yeah, but there's still nothing there.
Yeah, it's also
It's-
true. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got to prep beforehand. I don't know, like, the neighborhood in the area, but
There is none.
yeah.
No, it's
There's like a gas station like 10 minutes down the road, but
yeah.
I mean, there's Hannaford. It's like 25.
And there's no signal. Yeah. It's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful tournament. It's just, like I said, it's the third A tier. One A tier took Pro Side down to a B tier. One completely changed the weekend it was on, and then this one changed the amount of days that a player needed to set aside for it. As somebody who like is trying to get my schedule set in the spring, that kind of grinds my gears
Yeah.
when they change what it's going to be. Like, that tournament loses a lot of its sparkle for me as a player when I have to be there for a whole extra day. And there's, Wilcox is a beautiful place and I love being there and I love camping, but like taking a day off of work is freaking hard when you're a teacher.
I will say at least kudos that they didn't change it like a week before registration opened up or after registration opened up.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. One of the aspects of being an A tier is you have your shit together enough. You're filling out the forms in December. Like, that's so that you know what you're doing in December.
Great point. When does the A tier schedule like come out or?
December. You actually fill your form out earlier. That's a Jason specific question, but
Yeah.
I think the form comes out in November.
So I'm guessing there must have been some like resubmittal of like, hey, actually we want to change the date because like that all has to get approved way before in advance, obviously, right? By the
Yeah.
coordinator.
J-Dub's Points Championship Week 12. How'd that go?
It went good. I tied for first. I played with, me and AT, we played South. Yeah, we had a tie with Chad Larson and Dennis Daly. Again, it went through 3 holes and finished on a CTP. I think I parked it. Oh, yeah, and Brian Bickersmith and Kevin Nguyen earned win.
I love how you pronounce that. I'm sorry.
I don't know, man. Whatever.
The
Whatever.
doubt is in your voice when you say it either way. So that's cool.
I've heard it too many different ways. I don't know which one he claims. But they might have gotten the record for fastest birdie bank hit. They started on like hole 8 on the south layout, and I think like 4 of the 5 birdie bank holes were in like their first 7 holes, and they got them like all. So I think I saw a message from Brian at like 6:15 after starting at 5:30 saying that they got the birdie bank. So shout out to those guys. And for week 13, we played Jay North, and heads up for week 14 and possibly week 15. So that would be the June 17th and June 24th surrounding the solstice. We'll be shooting to play the 27-hole layout. And we're probably going to start at 5 o'clock, but stay tuned to Discap or the 2025 J-Dubs Point Championship Facebook group for details.
All right. Evan, Prospect Park Dubs, did you play the 3-disc challenge?
I did the 3-disc challenge. I brought a proxy, a reactor, and a trail, and I was partnered with Joey Harrington, and we had a good old time.
Do you remember who won?
I don't, I'm sorry.
Brandon Klein and Corey's favorite, Kevin Wen, shot a -13.
Great job. That's a great score for a 3-disc challenge.
Heck yeah. Sean Dollard and Adam Nelson shot a -10 at Colonial Acres Dubs. Jamin, do you remember how CTK handicap went?
Yep. Jim Robertson took first. He obliterated his handicap. I think he shot like 7 better than it. And then Joe Pulsoni came in second, and Joe Karen came in third, I believe.
Jonathan Klingler and Cody Canine shot a -17 at Saratoga Random Dubs Week 9. Did you play at the 47 people tied for first at Stony Kill, Alex?
I did, and unfortunately, I was not one of the 47 people. I managed to get myself sick and didn't realize it until I was like halfway through the round, and at that point, I didn't want to abandon my teammate. So we shot like 3 down or something like that. I'm looking at the results. We got to 5 down, mostly being carried by my teammate. So, but yeah, 4 teams tied at 11 down, and Steve Tiska and Kevin Gordon took it down on hole 2 with the birdie.
Heck yeah. Ben Graff and Elijah Morgan shot a -10 at Warwick Tuesday Dubs. Jordan Piper and Craig Henninger shot -8 at Kisco Tuesday Dubs. And Wilcox Tuesday Dubs, Max Horowitz and Andrew Ellis shot a -12. What about Regeneron?
We had a small crowd. We switched to Prospect for this month. It was nice. I hadn't played Prospect in a while, and I don't know. I think we kind of shredded it. Our scores are wrong. Like we used Colonial Acres scorecard, so I think you subtract 2 from the par.
So instead of winning at -9, you won at -7, you and Kevin Mullen?
No, the other way. I think like
-11. Ooh,
yeah, because there's no par 4s at Colonial Acres. So yeah. But yeah, no, Justin Hickok was there and played Cali. I think his partner left kind of early, and he had a good streak of birdies, and I think it was his first time maybe playing Cali, so was figuring that out too. But yeah, good time.
All right. Jennifer Park and Caitlin Clay shot -11 at Discap Women's League. I didn't check where they played, but that's a really good score. Peter Newland shot a -9 at the Port Jervis Disc Golf Spring Summer League. They did a 3-disc challenge there as well. Must be something in the water. Thrasher Dubs had week 2. Benji Farrell and Tim Martino shot a -7. Don't include the T, Corey.
You don't want Brian getting on you.
No, exactly.
My GPS says Thacker. Anybody else?
Shen Creek Dubs week 10. Logan Akins and Levi V shot a -13. The only 2 I go actually off a U-Disc for, because whatever reason they don't use U-Disc, but Deadbeat Dubs, Adam Gutman and Jack Bradley shot a -11 to win. And Corey, what happened at League? Where'd you guys
Pro
play?
League?
Yeah.
For Justin's Pro League, we played at J South. I forgot how many people there were there, say maybe a dozen. I know this was the first time there was multiple females there for the female division. Jessica Lasasso and Megan Mercier played. Jessica won that. And Muccelli won his own league, shot a 4 down on J South. And Justin Park came in second at 3 down. And then there was a 3-way tie because Ryan Nelson, I think, made a drunk promise at Minekill Camping saying that he would come to Pro League, and he actually didn't flake, and he was there. So him, myself, and Adam Nelson. Actually, they had a Nelson card. They played together. But yeah, myself, Adam Nelson, Ryan Nelson tied for third with an even round.
Yeah, he said if he switched it to 5:30, he would go, right?
Yep, and it was at 5:30, and he came. I don't know if he came this past week, but I will have found out by the time we record next time.
Well, yesterday they're playing the Wooded J North layout before the Jammer.
Yep.
Mark Stryker won Disbeat Club. Peter Fitzsisti and Justin Matthews shot a -8 at CPS Thursday Dubs Point Series Week 8. Dominic Veltri and Craig Henninger shot a -12 at TGI FDR Dubs. Charles Carpenter Jr. III and Jonathan Klingler shot a -14 at Cran and More Doubles League. Sunday, Skylines had their monthly. Steve Brinster shot -10 to win the A pool. Leighton Brinster shot -3 to win the B pool. And George Henry told his captain, a man ain't nothing but a man, but he won the C pool. Jared Acevedo and Spencer Vid shot -9 to win Long Island Disc Golf Sunday Dubs. And Benji Farrell and Dan Perry shot a -18 to win SBW Sunday Dubs League. We didn't get to skip Ace this week. The final battle is at the Preserve. That's coming up this weekend, the Preserve.
Yep.
For picks. So if you haven't gotten your picks in Preserve, and we got picks for Jammer, we didn't have time to do our own picks, but who's in the finals? Who got booted?
I did. So
Yep,
it's
so it's
Randy
me
and Randy and Jason for the finals.
What happened, Tim?
I started the wrong female. Otherwise, I would have beat one. I can't remember who, but if I had started my other FPO player, I would have beat whoever and been in second place.
It's a luck thing, but still.
Yeah.
If you click on the standings, I'm still in first, so that doesn't matter either.
So do we want to do another one of these leagues?
I thought it was cool.
I had fun.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Any birthdays this week?
No one that I'm friends with for a change.
I didn't see anyone on my friends list.
No one upcoming for me.
Shout out to all the moms that weren't pregnant in September 9th.
Corey's got to do quick math. All right. So we got the Jammer coming up this weekend. I actually got in last minute.
Sick.
MA50, baby. My first event in the MA50 division.
Nice.
All right. Well, thank you, Evan, Tim, Corey, Randy, Alex, Jaimen, and Jason. And so we up. That's about it.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, everybody.
One through 10, how bad are the mosquitoes at J Park right now?
4.
Really? Okay.
I say that, and then I said when I woke up this morning, or after I took a shower yesterday, after like working down out there, I wore like a thin long sleeve shirt, like a performance type long sleeve type of thing, and I had some welts on my back from them biting me through the shirt. But I don't know. The week before that was way worse.
Yeah, Central last Wednesday in the woods was absolutely brutal. I got eaten alive.
Oh yeah, last Wednesday at J Park for Pro League is when it was, because it was hot last Wednesday, right? So I guess from this two Wednesdays ago, but
Yeah, and the 4th.
oh, that is a good way of identifying it. Yeah, it was like hot the day after it rained those few days. It was, mosquitoes were bad. Okay, yeah, so this past Sunday, a small group of us had gone out and did a little Jammer prep work, kind of discap-y, but myself, Jaimen, Jason Gorsage, Greg Kurtz, Joe Byerly and his wife Maggie, and Adam Nelson. And Kyle was there to play the tag round in the morning. But yeah, after we played a round of North, we went out there with chainsaws, mowers, well, mostly pole saws, a lawn mower, and like 3 or 4 weed whackers and loppers, and kind of did a lot of work on the north side. I think we probably spent 3 or 4 hours out there. But Gorsage push mode hole 29, which looks sick back there with the grass and the woods. We touched up a few holes on like the 19 through 21, and then we weed whacked and trimmed and moved down trees on 26 and on 27. So yeah, I think the J Park's gonna look real good for the Jammer this weekend. Got a few more things to do on the south side. Got a weed whack hole 36, but yeah, J Park's gonna look great.
So what did Kyle say when it was suggested that he help out at the course?
So we were all kind of hanging out by that pull off near hole 13's basket, 13 and 14, and all the chainsaws and weed whackers and stuff were out on the ground. And Kyle's like, I don't think I'm qualified to run any of this stuff. But we had loppers there for him. I don't know. He did do a little bit of work on hole 31, the shed hole, the old shed hole. He cleaned up some of that left like forehand line before he headed out. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't trust Kyle with a weed whacker or anything power.